Well. The Cowboys have finally hired their defensive coordinator. And today I want to dig into kind of what led up to the Cowboys selecting Christopher Parker. We're going to listen to some other people talk about it. But nevertheless, there is a new defensive coordinator in Dallas. And I believe Dallas Cowboy fans should be excited. Let's talk Cowboys. We're about to talk facts. Yep. The Dallas Cowboys got their man. And we are going to talk about today, who is Christian Parker? Who is Christian Parker? All I can tell you is they got their man. Welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. And as you come into this live stream, please hit that like button, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, so you know the next time we post another video or go live. And we are live. And if you haven't become a channel member subscriber yet, what are you waiting on? We still got a lot more content coming up this season. Now let's talk facts. Christopher Parker. So today, we're going to talk about the fact that the Cowboys hired Christian Parker. We're also going to listen to 105.3 The Fan talk about Christian Parker. I can remember just a couple of days ago, Bobby Belt was talking about Christian Parker and was saying that he wanted Christian Parker. But I also want to go back and talk about how this led up to Christian Parker. I want to talk about the Brian Flores issue. I want to talk about the Jim Leonard issue. And then I want to deal with, what does this mean? What does this all mean? In the grand scheme of things, what does it mean that the Cowboys hired Christian Parker? I'm going to tell you what it means. And then I want to look at the cons of hiring Christian Parker. And I want to look at the pros of hiring Christian Parker. All of that is going to fit into the now what. So today, this is going to be all about Christian Parker. Christian Parker hired, 105.3 The Fan, Flores, Leonard, now what, cons and pros. Let's go. Let's get this quick roll call. Man, I want to get into this today. Let's go. Jesus. Man, I've been saying it for the last year. The Cowboys are moving different. They are moving different. Way different. The big Rombowski, he says, got my butt out of the DFW before Snowmageddon started. And down to here, the South Padre and the Cowboys went and got themselves a DC. Yes, sir. Lord Nova. What up, Lord Nova? Lonnie Cabal. Chris Dunaway. Hold on a second. I'm going to come back to this comment. Rick Brombowski. John Henry. What's going on? David Everett. He said, I've been a Cowboys fan since 71. He said, I'm not happy at all with this hire. Jerry, you can do better. Oh, let me go back. I want to come back to this. I want to come back to that. Freddie Morales said, Chuko in the crib. Yay, more. What is going on? Good to see you. 2P. Fitty, what up? Lynn from the 903 in this thing. What's going on? Nike Ajax. Alicia in this thing. She said, I'm pumped up about this hire. Ronnie Dub in this thing. Oh, Ronnie Dub. Yeah, Ronnie Dub, this jock tax. Okay, we're going to come back to that. I think that's what Rombowski talked about too. We're going to come back to that. Douglas Harrison, what's going on? That Sax guy's in the crib. What's up? Tony the Titan. I see what you did there. Tony the Tiger. You said Tony the Titan. I see you. Ty Howard, what's going on? Big Mouse Dog. What's going on? More Eddie. He said he love it. He says 2027. I think they're still going for 2026. The Queen. What's going on with your Queen? How you feel about that hire? DC4L roster man. Larry Stroud, Derek Giles in this thing. Rock and Roll Riley, what up? 5 points of the star. Dominique Pittman, he said 100% a shoddy pick because ain't no way Jerry would have done this. I disagree. I 100% disagree with you on that, Dominique. And I'm going to tell you why I totally disagree with you on Jerry wouldn't have done this. We got to stop giving Brian Schottenheimer. We got to stop giving Brian Schottenheimer all this credit and thinking that it's not Jerry. Brian Schottenheimer is not Jimmy Johnson. Let's calm down on that. Madman in this thing. I am him. JG for real. What's going on? Mizzle Moon, what's up? What's up? Eagles suck. Christian Legal. Mo Eddie. Logan D. What's going on? Gary Bookwalter. Oddball JC. Devin Mills. What up, Devin? Good to see you. Kelvin Thomas. Ace Wade. Long time no see. What's going on? There's a Moonblade. I think a lot of people don't know a lot about him, so we're going to try to find out all we can. Carl Williams, Larry Stroud, my sister Nisi. What up? Need to clean house on that defense and get some Rottweilers in that secondary. I absolutely agree with you. Sir Knows, what's going on? Nubian King, what's going on? SM Anderson, Jeremy Betts, Robert Dudley, the real estate vet, what up with you? Raymond Martin, Beast Mode saying C, what up? C2 Poke, David McLemore, what's going on with you? Good to see you. Timothy Govin, Larry Golden, 72 Chevelle just pulled up. True Texan said great hire. Cool Coleman, DJ W2320, Paul Talbert, Mills, what's going on? Yeah, we're going to have to give him a chance because we're not going to get nobody else over the next 2 years. Cowboys Thanos, what's going on? James Godley, Jerome Miller. All right, let's get this thing. Now, Dominique Pittman, I'm gonna give you the proof of how I'm disagreeing with you. Jerry is getting credit. Jerry is going to get credit for this because you do realize that Brian Schottenheimer can't hire Dominique. Brian Schottenheimer cannot hire, sir. I'm not giving Brian Schottenheimer credit like he overrode Jerry Jones. No. Brian Schottenheimer did not override Jerry Jones. Queen, she said, I think the team will be able to relate to Parker. I am good with this hire. I think so too. I think so too. Frank Lawrence, what's going on? We're going to try to find out everything we can. Andy Jones. All right, let's get this thing going. Yep. First things first. First things first. I don't want us, and this is why I want to cover this part. Parker hired. So let's deal with this part first. I'm not going to buy this whole thing about Jerry Jones. I'm not going to buy this whole thing about Jerry Jones and this mythology of Jerry Jones wouldn't hire a black coach. I want to dispel that mythology because so many people were wrong on that. Now, let me tell you why, Brother Dominique, no disrespect to you, but I want to tell you why you're wrong about Jerry Jones and as it applies to Christian Parker. And some people say that Jerry wouldn't hire a black coach. And I'm not saying that's what you said, Dominique. But other people were saying that Jerry wouldn't hire a black coach. Now, Dominique, the reason why I'm not giving this all about Brian Schottenheimer is because Brian Schottenheimer cannot hire Christian Parker unless he runs it through Jerry Jones, unless he runs it through Stephen Jones, unless he runs it through Will McClay, and they all agree on this because this was the exact same thing they said about Matt Eberflus. See, we want this to be, we want to, because we don't like Jerry Jones. And I don't have no problem with you not liking Jerry Jones. I can't tell you who to like. I can't tell you who to love. But what I am telling you, and what I am telling us, is that no one can be hired with this franchise without Jerry Jones signing off on it. Jerry Jones took the information that was given to him, not only by Brian Schottenheimer. Stop thinking that Brian Schottenheimer is the only one listening to Christian Parker. We got to stop this type of thinking. He's not listening. He's not the only one sitting in on an interview, and then he's telling Jerry to hire Christian Parker. No, Jerry and they all are involved in this. They're all involved in this. And so this whole notion about Jerry Jones not hiring a black coach, we need to get that out of our minds. And I'm going to give you the proof of this. The proof of this that people don't realize is Al Harris. Now, while we want to give Brian Schottenheimer credit for bringing in Christian Parker, Brian Schottenheimer is the reason that Al Harris is not here. Brian Schottenheimer is the reason, he is the sole reason that Al Harris is not here. Because it was, and Brian Broaddus reported on this. And I heard this even before Brian Broaddus talked about this. Al Harris got a bad rap because of his affinity for Trayvon Diggs. Because he rolled with Trayvon Diggs. That's how he burnt the bridge with the Dallas Cowboys. Because the Dallas Cowboys absolutely had Al Harris on the fast track. Because everybody thought that after Mike McCarthy was gone and after Dan Quinn was gone, they thought that Al Harris was going to be the defensive coordinator then. And even after Zimmer, people thought that Al Harris was going to be the defensive coordinator. But because of his connection with Trayvon Diggs, Brian Schottenheimer is the one who did not want Al Harris here. We got to stop some of these assumptions that we make. Jerry Jones does enough dumb things as it is to be blamed for. But as it applies to this whole notion that Jerry wouldn't hire a black coach, that is mythology. Because Al Harris is supposed, had things not went the way they went with Trayvon Diggs, I believe Al Harris would have already been the defensive coordinator. Al Harris would have been the defensive coordinator last year, because when you look at Al Harris's body of work, when you want to look at the coach, if you want a defense that creates turnovers, especially in the secondary, it's Al Harris. There's no wonder that when he was with Dan Quinn, with the Dallas Cowboys, how many turnovers we were getting. It's no wonder when he goes to the Chicago Bears, how many turnovers they got this year. It's no wonder that the secondary for the Bears looked better. The secondary for the Cowboys looked better when he was here. Think about what happened when he was here with the Dallas Cowboys. All-Pro, Deron Bland, All-Pro, Trayvon Diggs. So now Al Harris is starting to get interviews around the league. Al Harris is now starting to get his interviews as a defense coordinator. And so if I'm not mistaken, Dan Quinn is trying to get him in there for the defensive coordinator since he couldn't get Brian Flores. And so I think Green Bay is going to interview him also for the defensive coordinator position. So I believe that Al Harris, with everything that's going on in this league, Al Harris is probably going to be somebody's defense coordinator this coming go-round. But again, I'm going to dispel the mythology about Jerry Jones would not hire a black defensive coordinator or a black coach, because I absolutely believe Jerry would have, because Jerry, full well, I believe that Al Harris was going to be the next defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. And this is my frustration when we start again. This is my frustration when we start talking about Jerry Jones and these coaches. My frustration becomes, we want to shade Jerry by saying what Brian Schottenheimer did, while not acknowledging that Brian Schottenheimer is the very reason that Al Harris isn't here. It's not Jerry Jones, it's Brian Schottenheimer. And Brian Schottenheimer has already had more say-so in some of these decisions than we want to acknowledge, and I've been telling people this. Brian Schottenheimer has already been having say-so in this. And so while we want to pat Brian on the back, I think Brian Schottenheimer did a great job in the process with his interviews. And again, this is what I love about Brian Schottenheimer. I will always tell you that Brian Schottenheimer wants to win. Brian Schottenheimer does his due diligence. Brian Schottenheimer does a lot of things right as it applies to who he wants. But understand this about Brian Schottenheimer. If you don't understand it yet, you're going to understand it as we keep going. Brian Schottenheimer wants who he wants. He made it clear as it pertained to the running back position, and I still believe Jerry Jones as it applied to Matt Eberflus, and as it applied to even Al Harris. He did not want Al Harris, and this is why I keep saying, even as it pertains to Michael Parsons, if you don't think Brian had something to do with that, if you don't think Brian had something to do with Trayvon Diggs not being here, I'm sorry, you are sadly mistaken. And so, yes, I'll give him credit for Christian Parker, but I'm not going to give him all the credit. Because it's not that he impressed Brian Schottenheimer as much as he impressed Brian Schottenheimer and everyone else. We got to stop this mythology about Jerry Jones not hiring a black coach, because I'm not believing that. And then number two, we got to stop this mythology of, oh, okay, when something goes well, Brian did it, but when something goes bad, Jerry did it. Now, we're going to have to start, now we're going to have to either go one way or the other. We can't blame Jerry for all the bad and then give everybody else credit for all the good. We got to stop doing that. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. You can't give Jerry, you can't down Jerry when everything doesn't go right, but then when something goes right, you find someone else who did it. Because at the end of the day, it is a collective agreement of what the Cowboys are doing right now, contrary to what a lot of people think. Not one man is making all of the decisions in Dallas. Not one man is making all of the decisions. It is a collective of what they are deciding. They are collectively making these decisions. Bottom line. And so I think that is, we definitely need to address that elephant in the room. We got to stop thinking we got to stop thinking that it's all about Brian Schottenheimer, because again, we don't want to give Brian Schottenheimer any credit for the other things that we're talking about. No, this man has already had a lot more say-so than a lot of people understand. All right, let's get to some super chats here real quick. Star Guardian X is in this thing. What up, Star Guardian X? He said, I heard from Boss Cowboy that Shotty wanted Durante but got pushed back from the front office, so they compromised on Parker. Not sure how true that is. Well, I'll tell you this. Love, like, or hate Boss Cowboy. It is pretty rare that Boss Cowboy is going to say something without having some kind of proof. There's a reason why he changed his, I think he changed his moniker to Boss Show Me. If Boss Cowboy is saying it, I'm sure he heard it from somebody. I'm sure he heard it from somebody and probably heard it from somebody with some credibility. And it doesn't sound far-fetched to me, because it seemed like to me Durante Jones was who Brian Schottenheimer was pushing for. It does seem like to me that that's who he was pushing for. And I thought he was going to get Durante Jones. I actually thought Durante Jones was going to be, because I was getting ready to make a video this morning, because I was thinking, I said, if I had to be a betting man, I thought it was going to be Durante Jones. And so again, Star Guardian X, I appreciate what you're saying and about what Boss said, because this is why I'm telling us Brian Schottenheimer is not making the decisions solely. It's a collective. And so they're all based on whatever information they're all gathering. They're all making the decision together, and they're all settling on whoever it is and whatever they do. So again, I give Brian Schottenheimer credit for the process. Brian Schottenheimer is very meticulous, very diligent, and I will always tell you, I believe Brian Schottenheimer wants to win. I believe he wants to win. And so, again, none of this surprises me, because again, Star Guardian X, I think there is probably some truth to this, because again, Brian broke this not once but twice for all of the Al Harris fans. Brian Schottenheimer had influence on him not being here. So if he had influence on Al Harris not being here, this is why I keep believing that he had influence on Matt Eberflus being here. It just makes sense. And so now with Christian Parker, it wouldn't surprise me if he did like Durante Jones more. But he probably also liked Christian Parker too. And so the Cowboys, maybe they like Christian Parker, and that's the compromise or whatever the case may be. But we're going to go back over some of these other coaching things. We're going to talk about these other coaches too. Timothy Govern said, gee, I'm satisfied with the hire, but also unhappy they dropped the ball with Flores and Jones, the type of coaches they're looking for. Timothy Govern, appreciate that super chat. Timothy Govern, we're going to talk about Brian Flores. Jerry Jones wanted Brian Flores. I want y'all to get that. Don't think the Cowboys didn't want Brian Flores. The Cowboys, in particular, Jerry Jones wanted Brian Flores. Jerry wanted Brian Flores. Didn't happen. Jerry couldn't get Brian Flores because Brian Flores made a decision. Brian Flores made a decision. Head coach or the Vikings, bottom line. Head coach of the Vikings. True Texan, I can agree with you on this too. Just glad it is not a retread or aired up tire. Yeah, he's going to breathe some fresh air into the building. And again, I want to give Brian Schottenheimer some credit on this because, like I said, I think he does a great job. But I'm also going to give Jerry some credit on this. I don't know if y'all remember, because I've been talking about the Joneses have been moving different since they hired Brian Schottenheimer. And this is what I give Jerry credit for as it applies to Jimmy Johnson. A lot of people try to trash Jerry Jones about the Jimmy Johnson era. But I don't trash Jerry Jones about the Jimmy Johnson era. I give Jerry credit for the Jimmy Johnson era because Jerry hired Jimmy Johnson. He didn't have to. Jerry didn't have to hire Jimmy. And not only did Jerry hire Jimmy, Jerry listened to Jimmy, at least up until he got those championships. But Jerry listened to Jimmy. Jerry allowed Jimmy to pick the players. Jerry allowed Jimmy to have influence. I mean, Jerry really did a lot of things right during that time. And I really think that Jerry in this era, I hate that it took him 30 years, but in this Brian Schottenheimer era, Jerry has really been listening to, if there's any coach that he's really let put his imprint on the franchise, it's Brian Schottenheimer. But you got to give Jerry credit for that. Jerry has allowed Brian Schottenheimer to put his imprint on this franchise. You got to give Jerry credit for that, man. We can't have it both ways. We can't hate Jerry when things go bad, but then every time any little thing go good, it's not Jerry. It is Jerry. Got to give Jerry credit. Jamal Ism, what up? Jamal Ism said this was the guy I wanted. He said we needed help in the secondary, and this guy developed 2 all-pro corners. Yep, I just mentioned that. And he's young. To me, that says a lot. Great hire, super excited. Yeah. This is a win for the Cowboys franchise. It is an absolute win. And I'm glad that Jerry did it, and not for no Rooney Rule reasons. I'm not glad that he did it for no Rooney Rule reasons, but I'm glad that Jerry hired outside of the box. I'm glad he hired outside of the box because it actually speaks to the fact, or it gets rid of this stigmatism about the whole black coach thing in Dallas, because people were saying the same thing before Jerry Jones got Dak Prescott. Oh, there'll never be a black quarterback in Dallas, and then we get Dak Prescott. Somebody said, oh, but he's half white and he's half black. But is he half black? Jerry Jones hires a black quarterback in Dallas, and then everybody go radio silent. They said he'd never hire a black defense coordinator. Jerry hires a black defense coordinator. And again, I don't think it ever had anything to do with being black. A lot of people don't realize before Dak Prescott, there was somebody named Quincy Carter. I'll never understand the Quincy Carter days. Anybody who can remember the Quincy Carter days, boy, y'all better be appreciative of Dak Prescott. But again, the whole black coach stigmatism. No, I'm telling y'all now, Jerry liked Al Harris. Jerry Jones really liked Al Harris. It was Brian Schottenheimer who didn't. So now we got a black defensive coordinator in Dallas. Nothing can be said. And I don't think nothing can, and I'm not glad that Jerry hired a black coach. But Jerry, I believe, hired the coach he thought was best for the job, and he happened to be black. That's what I believe. Jerry listened to the information that was given to him. He listened to I'm pretty sure he was in on one of the interviews. They liked what they heard, and they hired Christopher Parker. And I'm glad they did it, not because he's black, but I still say it gets rid of some of that stigmatism of what Jerry won't do because somebody is black. I love it. I love it. Star Guardian X, he said, I'm happy about the hire nonetheless. I am too. I am too. I'm happy about the hire because it's the unknown. It's the unknown. It's the uncomfortability. It's not the continuity. I love it. I absolutely love it. Tony Nichols said, gee, Fish is on record noting Jerry Jones' comfortability with Flores. Maybe it's because Flores wanted the head coach. Oh, it's no doubt about it, Tony Nichols. Jerry Jones in particular wanted Brian Flores. Jerry Jones wanted Brian Flores. And so I'll talk about Brian Flores when I get to the Brian Flores thing. All right, Star Gordon next again. He said, I was nervous they were going with Gannon. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was too. I was too, Star Gordon X. I was nervous, man. Tony Nichols said, I also think Jerry wanted to hurt Philly on the low. Tony Nichols, not only hurt Philly, but get even more insight on Philly. I agree. Ace Wade. Man, he said, laugh out loud, the Quincy Carter days were hell on earth. Diabolical. Boy, Ace Wade, people do not understand, man. Boy, them Quincy Carter days was, boy, them Quincy Carter days were hell, man. Boy, them Quincy Carter days was hell, man. Absolute hell. Never want to go back through them days again, man. Boy. Miss Matrix in this thing. What up, Miss Matrix? Miss Matrix, they done cut our man Trayvon Diggs from the Green Bay Packers, but I think he'll be brought back. I think he will be brought back. Brandy in the crib. What's going on, Brandy? All right. Lost in translation, man. What up? Tatiana, good to see y'all. All right. So let's move over here to 105.3 The Fan as we kind of collect our thoughts. I'm appreciating y'all rocking with me. Best chat on YouTube. And so let's listen to some more of this, the hire of Brian Flores. I mean, not Brian Flores. Christian Parker. So it looks like they've been pretty much talking about this all day. So let's see here. I see an in-depth talk on Christian Parker, but then I also see Brian Broaddus in the crib. Let me make sure here. Let's go with this thing on Brian Broaddus first. Yeah, let's go with this piece on Brian Broaddus first, and maybe it'll give us a very good point of discussion. Let's go.
Actually, I forgot I had a guy.
When you have a guy, you can't forget you have a guy.
I had a guy, believe it or not.
Is this a gang of 8 now?
Well, a gang of 8 now, because I forgot I had a guy that actually worked with this guy and knows this guy.
I love all the guys on guys.
It took me looking up, going through a media guide situation.
The black book,
Oh, well done.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So here's a guy that actually was working with this guy, with Coach Parker. And I said, hey, give me some insight here. Give me a little insight on what we're getting here. And so I finally got a text back. He says, Coach Parker's very smart. He's a very high football IQ. He grinds on film. Outstanding teacher. Strong on fundamentals first, then techniques, everyday improvements is what he strives for. He builds relationship with players and gains trust for him for the buy-in. Okay. Firm but fair, big on holding a player accountable. We talked about that, Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it simple so you play fast.
Here we go.
Goal is to find the key that unlocks what motivates a player to get him to be the player, a productive player, reach full potential. Not all players are the same. And the big thing he says his mentor is Vic Fangio. So that's what he described Coach Parker as, that type of a coach.
Sounds like what.
Now, he sounds like everything that Brian Schottenheimer was looking for. But I want us to understand, whatever Brian Schottenheimer was looking for, the Dallas Cowboys were looking for that too. Jerry and Stephen Jones. Because Stephen Jones, when he gave his interview about what the Cowboys were looking for in the DC, he gave that script verbatim. He absolutely gave that script verbatim. And so Christian Parker fit what the Cowboys were looking for. Not just Brian Schottenheimer, fit what the Cowboys were looking for. I want y'all to understand something. The Dallas Cowboys, Brian Schottenheimer, Jerry Jones, and that coaching staff, and those players, they all lived the hell of Matt Eberflus. Don't get it twisted. Matt Eberflus is a very smart man. The problem, I believe, with Matt Eberflus is Matt Eberflus is too smart for his own good. And so for Matt Eberflus, this is what it was. You either fit the system or you don't. That was Matt Eberflus. And Matt Eberflus basically says, if you don't fit the system, if I don't have the players for the system, then I'm just not going to run my system. I'll just run zone. And Matt Eberflus seems to be the kind of coach that you either get it or you don't. And he don't want to waste all his time with trying to figure out what makes you tick and all this and that. And I think one of his biggest issues is, and this is why I say Matt Eberflus has got to do some soul searching over the next couple of years. I'm glad that he's going to take a year out. I hope he actually takes maybe 2 years out and try to figure out where is the disconnect between him and players. Because I think that's the biggest issue that he had was his disconnect between him and players. And so that led to players not trusting him. And because players didn't trust him, they didn't listen to him. And I think they wrote Matt Eberflus off. And once you get wrote off by a player, I mean, everything you do from that point forward, it's going to be ice skating uphill. Everything you do from that point forward is ice skating uphill. And so this guy, Christian Parker, one of the things that they're talking about is his relatability to players. I think this is what they were looking for, because I want to roll back the clock for a moment. This is the thing that I give Dan Quinn so much credit for. Dan Quinn is a culture builder, and this is one of the reasons why even Brian Schottenheimer liked Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is a culture builder. Now, you probably don't want Dan Quinn picking your staff. I mean, you know, your players, because he seems to like all these doggone older players, and it's came back to now bite the Commanders this season. But he's a culture builder. Dan Quinn is the type of guy, gets in there, he not only teaches, but Dan Quinn gets in there and demonstrates, teaches, demonstrates, gets involved in the plays sometimes, out there in practice, putting his hands on the players, let the players put their hands on him and blocking and strategizing. Dan Quinn, one of the best things he does is he builds up that camaraderie. He builds up He just builds up that connection between players. He's a culture builder. That's why he goes into Washington, and in the first year, they're in the NFC Championship game. But, of course, this year, those old players came back and got him with all the injuries. But, nevertheless, Dan needs to let somebody else maybe handle his personnel. But Dan is a culture builder. And so Christian Parker, when I listen to them talk about Christian Parker, this, to me, It sounds like Dan Quinn. We might not realize what Brian Schottenheimer was describing when he was talking about the coach they're looking for. I mean, when you go back in hindsight, and hindsight is 2020, it really sounds like he was talking about Dan Quinn. And so Christian Parker may be a Dan Quinn type of coach. Dan Quinn type of coach. And this is what they like. So I'm pretty excited about Christian Parker because he's a breath of fresh air. I not only applaud Brian Schottenheimer, but based on what Star Guardian X is saying, is that this is more of a Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, Brian Schottenheimer compromise of saying, well, of what we're looking for, that let's settle on this because, Brian, you may want this, but we want this. Christian Parker is the great in-between. And again, I think this may be another issue of, this may be another Dan Quinn type of coach. I like it. Everything they're saying about him, I like it. I like it. It's a breath of fresh air for the Dallas Cowboys franchise. And again, not a retread, as True Texan said. Not a retread. We got somebody new, fresh, young mind. And I think the players are going to like it.
What you want? I'm excited. I'm ready to see how this thing goes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, for sure. We know the Fangio connection. He worked under Mike Elko.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mike Pettin,
Ejiro Evero in Denver, Vance Joseph as well. So, I mean, he's been around some great football minds at the college level and the NFL level. Here is Christian Parker actually talking about his coaching style.
Letting them know that, number one, that you care. And once they figure out that you care and you're invested in them and their overall development, then the schematics and the technique and everything else take care of itself. But I think that it's very important to engage with those guys, be very thorough and detailed, and not really leave anything to chance so they know exactly when they go on the field, they have a, very distinct plan. They understand what we're expecting from them, and they know what the expectation is from each other.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, this guy sounds like a Dan Quinn type of coach. And I'm telling us, love, like, or hate Dan Quinn? Shoot, man. Man, Dan Quinn's a culture builder. Man, Dan Quinn is absolutely a culture builder. Gets in there, gets engaged with his players. And I'm telling you, this is where Matt Eberflus really needs to go back and reevaluate himself. Because I think this was the part that he was missing. His engagement with the players. I think he was a good chalkboard, good X's and O's, good film, but then when it came to the engagement piece, I don't think he came off right to players. Because I think this was one of the issues in Chicago. It didn't come off right. And so now, Christian Parker comes in here, young guy. I think the Cowboys players are going to be excited about him. I think they're going to be excited about him. He's going to bring a breath of fresh air. It's something different.
Okay, so there gives you a little window right there. And then he also was asked, this was more recently, that previous clip was when he was in Denver, but he was also asked while in Philadelphia, specific to the DBs, and Walchuk, you referenced this a little bit, like the body type stuff. And we know the Cowboys, when it comes to drafting, they have like specific prototypes that they like at each position. This is Christian Parker talking about DBs and how the body type doesn't really affect things for him.
I would say the body types are less important, more about the execution of what we're asking them to do. So each day gets graded from your zone eyes, your coverage, your man discipline, your communication, meeting room, how we're handling that. All those things kind of go into one bucket in terms of how it's a daily evaluation. So we usually try to give them something that we know get better at when we didn't take a step forward at each day, try to progress on that. But I wouldn't say like we're really leaning into something that we want the prototype for that position to be. It's more sort of performance on the field.
Cool.
I love that.
Accountability, details.
Yep.
Yeah, we've talked about the different ways this coaching staff has changed the Cowboys' philosophy on a number of things. One of them just the defensive tackles. And it's been embarrassing how much they've neglected that over the years. And hopefully this is an upgrade, because if you don't notice the measurable shortcoming affecting the play, why would you just assume it's going to start hurting them?
Trust that tape. Jacob Parrish was one of my guys last year from K-State, was a little bit undersized, but Brian knows this from the stack. Man, I'm fighting for the tiny DBs.
He is fine for the
I'm a big fan of the tiny DB.
By the way, another guy just texted me, and kind of similar to what we all just talked about, but his something different. He says he finds out what a player does best and works the scheme around the player's strengths. That was something this other guy said. So,
I mean, it's certainly easier said than done, but that's exactly what you want to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, that is exactly what you want to hear. That was one of the things that frustrated us about Eberflus, and I think that's really one of the big line of demarcations from just like your run-of-the-mill coach and your legit top-tier kind of guy.
Yeah.
It's like, give me the ingredients, and I'll tell you what the meal's going to be. I can't just have the meal without the right ingredients.
And I think...
Man, let me tell you something. Y'all might not realize this. Matt Eberflus was so bad that almost anybody was probably going to be better than Matt Eberflus. I mean, almost anybody was probably going to be better. Probably going to be even more relatable. So it just goes to show you how bad Matt Eberflus was and how stubborn he was, because the Cowboys basically was just like, we want the opposite of Matt Eberflus. We want the opposite of him. And kind of going back to the Dan Quinn type of coach. And again, I'm just telling us, we got to stop this notion, though. When it's going good, it's everybody else. When it's going bad, it's Jerry Jones. No. This doesn't just have Brian Schottenheimer written on it. This has Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and Brian Schottenheimer written on it. This was a collective decision by all three of them. I'm telling you, it was. It's a collective decision, and I applaud it, because this is how they should be working. They should be working and letting Brian Schottenheimer do the groundwork, trusting his process of how he interviews, how he does whatever he does, trusting him to do that, letting him bring back the information, getting involved in that second interview, then putting their head together and saying, this is who I think, or this is who we think would be best for the team. Because Christian Parker probably wasn't the first choice. I think Jim Leonard was who they pinpointed. I think Jim Leonard is who they pinpointed. But we're going to talk about Jim Leonard in a moment, as well as we're going to talk about Brian Flores in a moment of how that turned out. But I'm telling you now, this is a collective thing. But also understand this part, the blessing and the curse. Shotty going to have to own this too. He's going to own this one, just like I believe that Jerry Jones was basically saying he's got to own the last one too. He's going to even more so own this one. He's going to own this one. 2 DCs. He's going to own this one for sure. No doubt about it.
You know, that idea has been around for a long time. I don't know how the Cowboys got so distanced from it, especially because Dan Quinn was pretty good at that kind of stuff. So hopefully this is a big step in the direction of the Cowboys becoming more aligned with what's working across the league. And it's awesome that this guy's been so popular, and everybody that's talking about him right now is just singing his praises for one reason or another.
Yeah, and it dates back. I mean, you've had guys that cover the league nationally that for years have been talking about Christian Parker, like he's on his way. He's on his way. And then now
Dominique Pittman. I'm telling you, man, you got to be careful with your Jerry bias. And I'm not saying it in a negative way, but Dominique Pittman, Jerry wanted Brian Flores. It is being reported that Jerry wanted Brian Flores. Some of these inside people are talking about it. Jerry wanted Brian Flores. That's who he wanted. But Brian Flores made it clear to the Cowboys. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about it when we get to the Brian Flores piece in just a moment. But Jerry wanted Brian Flores. Too many people are reporting this. Jerry wanted Brian Flores. That's who they wanted as the defensive coordinator.
Today it finally pops. I had some sound of Cooper DeJean, but the audio is not great. But this is the quote from him earlier in the season. He's standing at his locker, and the media is asking him about Christian Parker. He says, I can say a lot of things about what he's meant to me and Quinyon Mitchell. We've had a routine of we go meet with him 2 or 3 times a week to go over the team we're playing or go over different looks. I don't think I'd be the player I am or have the success that I've had without him. He's poured a lot into me and Quinyon as well. Ever since we got here, I appreciate him for that. Not everyone notices him, and I don't think he gets the recognition that I think he should. So that's right there from the mouth of Cooper DeJean, one of the young superstars in the back end of the Eagles defense, and he is just totally singing the praises here of Parker.
That's the communication magic really showing off as
what up,
these players want to be around him. They want to meet with him more because of the way that he makes you feel about your performance or what's next.
Yes.
And the way that he frames things in his communication, challenging without like disrespecting. Like I just think this is like prototype stuff for the modern coach.
And I think the relatability with the age. There are times where it's like, hey, we love older coaches, and I think obviously, Dick Fangio is still doing an excellent job finding ways to be relatable. Maybe that does have something as well to do with his coaching staff, and Christian Parker's been one of those key guys, reading as though, hey, he's been the eyes and ears. I mean, that goes back to him working with Mike Pettin. So, I mean, Cooper DeJean taking to Twitter right after he gets the job here in Dallas saying, man, with the sad face, they got a great one. Wouldn't be the player I am without Coach Christian Parker. So he's bummed. I think there's a lot of Eagles players and probably staff members that are bummed, and that's another great element of this is you are poaching away from a division rival.
And there is such
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those Eagle players are hurting because of Christian Parker. Let me read 3 more super chats, and then we're going to finish this, and then I'm going to give you something amazing about Christian Parker, and I probably should save it for the pros and the cons. I think I'll save it for the pros and the cons of talking about Christian Parker. I think I'll save it, but I got an amazing stat about Christian Parker of why I believe that if what Boss Cowboy is reporting is true, and I could see where it could be true. I'm going to give you an amazing stat of why I could see why Steven, Jerry, and Brian all, as they're talking about this, why they probably came to the decision of Christian Parker over Durante Jones. Because Durante Jones was a great choice also. But I think you're looking at 2 different types of individuals, and I'm going to tell you why Christian Parker fits what the Cowboys wanted to do better. Jamal Ism says Anthony Wright too, G. Yeah. Superman said, I think our defense will be better next year. Yeah, I do too. Anything's going to be better than Matt Eberflus. Tony Nichols said, G, I mistyped. Jerry Jones was uncomfortable with Flores. Yeah, I don't think he was uncomfortable with Flores. No, well, let me rephrase that. Even if he was uncomfortable with Brian Flores, Jerry wanted Brian Flores. It is being reported that Jerry wants Brian Flores. But, the Cowboys not getting Brian Flores is not as much about the Cowboys as it is about Brian Flores, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Buddy Johnson, what's going on? Let's go. Let's see.
The thing is great assistant coaches who do a magical job of coming in after the head coach or the coordinator and sort of massaging the message or helping the players see it in a different way. And, as we talked about earlier, there's a number of things that he hasn't done yet. Yeah. And that would be one of the first things, like, can you maintain that level of communication and relationship building with an added layer of responsibility where maybe your time is more on a crunch?
For sure.
What up,
time
Kevin
crunches
Ellis?
stress me the hell out.
Yes.
My kids do not want to be around me if I got to be in a hurry to do something.
Agreed. Yeah. And when he worked under Mike Pettin, he says that Parker was Pettin's eyes in the coaching booth. He offered opponents tendencies while the game unfolded. Parker could synthesize information and offer 3 or 4 actionable nuggets within a game.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
in real time, okay, this kind of crap's hitting the fan a little bit. Here's what we can do.
Yeah. So do you have the ability to compartmentalize and be calling a play within 40 seconds while also synthesizing that data for you and your other coaches? Is he going to find somebody else to do that role?
Right.
Will it be as optimal?
Yeah. And these are all fair questions that you won't know until you see it all unfold in real time. But it is certainly encouraging, and we're all pretty excited about it.
And the cool thing there is, have you guys read this thing where they think he's got a photographic memory?
Yeah, Walchuk was saying something about that.
Yeah,
being Rain Man.
Yes, he's one of these guys like the recall. It's supposed to be incredible with him, and it made me think of like Sean McVay. We've seen certain videos of him where he's recollecting plays from when he was a quarterback's coach with Washington. We're talking like 10 to 15 years ago. ago, and Christian Parker apparently has that same type of memory where he is just one of these guys that can regurgitate, like just a football savant.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a lot of fun right now. So now elsewhere around the NFL a little bit, before we look forward to championship weekend, I do think we need to look back a little bit. And you did have Brandon Cooks on NFL Network today saying, like, I caught the ball. Of course, he's going to say that. He didn't come across like super angry and like what the heck in real time on the field. But
Archer's a good dude.
After a couple of days, yeah, friend of the program, Brandon Cooks. He's now saying like, yeah, I definitely caught that ball. But you have
Brandon Cooks did not catch that football. Man, I'm sorry. You know what, man? I'm not. I don't understand the Brandon. Brandon Cooks did not catch that football. And this is one of the knocks I have on Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks gets overpowered by bigger, stronger defensive backs. Y'all might not remember this, but this happened in 2023 to the Dallas Cowboys in the Green Bay Packers playoff game. Y'all do realize that the defensive back for the Green Bay Packers crawled over the back of Brandon Cooks and picked that ball off. If that was a bigger wide receiver, that's not an interception. Brandon Cooks, that was an interception, clear as day. Ball in the air, guy got one hand on it, going to the ground, got two hands on it. They hit the ground, the ball is in his chest, roll over, he got the ball. The Dallas Cowboys got a similar interception against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2024, and I can't remember who it was that got the interception in the end zone against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was the same thing. They both caught the ball, hit the ground, rolled over. Cowboy came up with the ball. It was an interception. You have to survive the ground of this thing. I'm not listening to Brandon Cooks. Not listening to Brandon Cooks. Hold on to the doggone football. Bottom line, hold on to the doggone football.
Have a total fiasco going on in Buffalo right now with the owner and the general manager.
And then I'm laughing at the fact that everyone wants to talk about the interception, but nobody wants to talk about two interceptions by Josh Allen, two fumbles by Josh Allen, and then he missed a wide open tight end down the seam before that interception that actually would have ended the game rather than that interception that was an interception that he threw to Brandon Cooks. Stop it. I'm not giving him no breaks on this. I'm not giving him no breaks, bruh. No, Josh Allen folded like a lawn chair after a wedding.
And they've totally, I don't know how Keon Coleman steps back in that facility after what they did to him at the podium yesterday. But
let me ask you something here.
We'll hit some of that in the mix bag.
Some of the biggest questions is that he really doesn't care.
Keon Coleman doesn't?
Yeah. Coleman is not one of these guys that nothing bothers him. And I mean that in like, he doesn't, like, you say something bad about him, you say something good about him.
Yeah, we're going to talk about what you just said here.
That's kind of that's how people describe him and some of the issues that he's dealing with in Buffalo. And I wonder if this is one of those things to try and...
All right, so sounds like they're done talking about that. 105.3 The Fan. But again, I want to switch gears for a moment to Brian Flores. And I want to give this for Dominique Pittman because I'm telling us about this Brian Flores issue. As much as Mike Fisher reported on the quote-unquote uncomfortability, this is the same Mike Fisher right here. This article, I'm showing you right here. This is the same Mike Fisher. Let me see if I can get it. This is the same Mike Fisher. Mike Fisher clearly reported right here, Dominique Pittman. The Cowboys are attracted to Brian Flores. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. That is what it was reported days ago. The Cowboys were absolutely interested in Brian Flores. They were absolutely, and this isn't the only place I heard this reported about Brian Flores. Jerry Jones wanted Brian Flores. They wanted Brian Flores. But what people don't understand about Brian Flores had a little trick up his sleeve. This is the part that people are not understanding about Brian Flores. Brian Flores had already re-upped with the Minnesota Vikings. We're just now hearing about it. Brian Flores re-upped with the Minnesota Vikings last week. Last week. He already had re-upped. He had already re-upped with the Minnesota Vikings as their defensive coordinator. So I want us to understand why the Cowboys didn't get Brian Flores. Brian Flores didn't give the Cowboys an explicit outright no. Brian Flores gave the Cowboys, and not just the Cowboys, he gave the Washington Commanders, the Dallas Cowboys, and anybody else a subliminal no. By re-upping with the Minnesota Vikings last week is what's being reported. He re-upped last week, which basically told the Dallas Cowboys it's either head coach or the Minnesota Vikings for Brian Flores. And that's fact, not conjecture. That's what happened with Brian Flores. That is what happened with Brian Flores. That is exactly what happened with Brian Flores. Brian Flores didn't want to be a defensive coordinator for anybody else. The only way he was going to be a defensive coordinator for anybody else, they would have had to throw the bank at him. And I got a feeling Minnesota threw the bank at him. And so it wasn't the Cowboys just being cheap, because if Dan Quinn and the Washington Commanders would have wanted him, they would have threw the bank at him and stolen from the Minnesota Vikings. But Brian Flores, in the grand scheme of things, Brian Flores, it was either head coach or the Vikings. That's why the Cowboys, and it's not about the Cowboys as much as it is about Brian Flores. Brian Flores wanted to be a head coach. Let me read a couple of more things here, and then I'm going to come back to Brian Flores. Big Rumbowski, I already knew about this jock tax. The income tax for the state still does come into play, though. A jock tax owes income tax to states where they play or perform on the road that they have won, but Texas itself doesn't tax their earnings from home games, as we do not have a state income tax. Yeah, so it still does affect it. Absolutely. Yeah, I already knew about the jock tax. I've been hearing about that here for the last year. Yeah, I already know about that. Ronnie Dub had something I want to come back to. No state tax thing. No, we didn't have it wrong on the no state tax thing. The jock tax is still there for the road games. But understand, Ronnie Dub, you still got the state tax for your home games and your home state. So you still get that state tax. So these players get taxed all kinds of ways. Yeah, these players get taxed all kinds of ways. It's not just the jock tax, man. They get tore up all kinds of ways. There is no doubt about it. No doubt about it. They get tore up all kinds of ways. Now, Pure Gaming, let me come back to something that you said. Brian Flores might get the Colin Kaepernick treatment. Exactly. Let me tell you what's going on with Brian Flores. And this is one of the reasons I still say the Cowboys were interested in Brian Flores. But it wasn't that Brian Flores was not interested in the Cowboys as much as Brian Flores wasn't interested in moving around the league as a defensive coordinator. Brian Flores is basically made it clear. The Vikings or a head coaching position. But the crazy part about Brian Flores, I don't know, man. Brian Flores may never get a head coaching job in this league. Brian Flores may never get a head coaching job in this league. Brian Flores has an active lawsuit against the NFL. And I think at this point in time, unless somebody proves me wrong, and they very well may prove me wrong, but I think at this point, nobody wants to give Brian Flores the opportunity to be a head coach in this league and then start tearing this league up Could you imagine Brian Flores tearing this league up from a head coaching situation and then his lawsuit goes to trial? I think Brian Flores may have wrote his own ticket. Man, let me tell y'all something about this entity known as the NFL. This entity known as the NFL is powerful. It took John Gruden out of football. And you can tell me anything you want to about John Gruden, but I'm struggling with the fact that there were 55,000 emails or more, give or take. There were 55,000 emails, they say, and you're telling me that the only ones that you out of all those emails, John Gruden was the only one you found saying derogatory things? Okay. Okay. I'll let y'all have that one. But I'm not agreeing with it. Dominique Pittman, I already gave you that. I'm pretty sure you're back there. I'm behind. But yeah, it's been reported. The Cowboys wanted Brian Flores, man. But Brian Flores, and this is the part that none of us knew. Brian Flores basically, after that I'm thinking it's after the Washington Commanders, because Brian Flores kind of, if you think about what he did, Brian Flores kind of got himself a bargaining chip as it applied to the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, it's really smart what he did. He goes and interviews with the Washington Commanders. But then come to find out, and I'm sure it was after the Washington Commanders, Brian Flores got an extension from the Minnesota Vikings. Brian Flores got an extension from the Minnesota Vikings, I'm sure, after the Washington Commanders interview. And the reason why I think that's true, it's common sense. Why would he interview with the Washington Commanders and he's already got an extension with the Minnesota Vikings? I mean, this is common sense. It's facts and common sense. It's facts and common sense. Brian Flores had already signed the extension with the Minnesota Vikings. That has already been reported. He had already signed the extension. And so, this is the part that I didn't know last week. Understand this. Y'all don't think the Cowboys already knew once he signed that extension and that other teams didn't already know that Brian has signed that extension? Y'all do know these agents, they all talk. They all knew this. We didn't know it. They all knew it. They all knew that Brian Flores had already signed the extension. Because from what my understanding is, he signed the extension with the Minnesota Vikings. It's not they got a contract on the table. He's already signed the extension. And the only way that extension becomes null and void is that a team turns around and signs him to a head coaching job. And I'm not sure they're going to sign him to a head coaching job. I'm not sure they're going to do it. And again, y'all don't have to agree with me on the Brian Flores thing. I'm giving you the facts. I'm giving you the facts on the Brian Flores thing. The Dallas Cowboys wanted Brian Flores. And it's not as much that Brian Flores didn't want the Cowboys. Brian Flores wants to be a head coach or bust. I just don't know if he's going to get it. I just don't know if he's going to get it. I think a lot of teams are out on him. I think a lot of teams are out on him as far as a head coaching job. Because, man, I'm going to tell you something I've learned about this league. This league can do some things that are so underhanded and work in collusion together. I'm telling you right now, Shedeur Sanders comes to my mind. There is no way that anybody can tell me that Shedeur Sanders was a 5th-round draft pick. Something is wrong when Shedeur Sanders is a 5th-round draft pick and gets drafted behind Dylan Gabriel. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Brian Flores is one of these issues that they're saying they're not going to touch in this league. The same thing with John Gruden. They're not going to touch him in this league. They're not going to do it. They're just not going to touch it. Tatiana, if you're talking about Brian Flores, I think what happened with the Cowboys and Brian Flores, once they figured out Brian Flores was already signed, the Cowboys didn't even bother to try to get the interview. I think it started probably circulating that Brian Flores wasn't going to sign as a defensive coordinator with anybody else. I just think it started circulating because it is being reported that he actually signed that deal. He signed an extension last year. I mean, not last year, last week. He signed an extension last week. So the Cowboys didn't even waste their time. And I'm sure other teams knew he signed that extension, and they didn't waste their time either. And so now Brian Flores is in a situation where head coach or bust. Now, the crazy part to me, when I think about Brian Flores, there are 3 teams that I'm absolutely shocked that did not get Brian Flores. I am shocked that the Atlanta Falcons didn't interview Brian Flores. But of course, they got Matt Ryan over there. And I'm sorry, Matt Ryan needs to be fired. Because Matt Ryan goes and hires Kevin Stefanski. He goes and hires Kevin Stefanski in Atlanta, which is an absolute joke. The Pittsburgh Steelers have interviewed him. Pittsburgh and what's the other team I'm missing? Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens interviewed him. Now, the thing that I find to be strange about Brian Flores being interviewed by 2 teams, Pittsburgh Steelers have given him 2 interviews from what my understanding is. What I find to be strange about Brian Flores, any of the teams so far that have wanted a particular head coach, have y'all not noticed the trend? They didn't let that head coach out of the building. The New York Giants locked John Harbaugh in a building and said, "You're our next coach. What will it take?" We saw where the Atlanta Falcons, insanity to me, but they basically locked Kevin Stefanski in the building and said, "You're our coach," and that was it. We saw with the Tennessee Titans got Robert Saleh in the building. He was their man, didn't let him out of the building. Pittsburgh Steelers, they interviewed Brian Flores and let him out the building. He's also interviewed with the Baltimore Ravens. I'm shocked. Not letting him out the building. I mean, they let him out the building. So maybe something can change, but I'm just like, if they let him out the building, then they're considering someone else, because if you let him out the building, somebody else can get him. Brian Flores may never see a head coaching job in this league. He may never see a head coaching job. Junior said people have to use common sense. The most coveted DC only got 1 interview for a defensive coordinator position. Come on, man. Yeah. And you're talking about Brian Flores. Yeah. Brian Flores, and I believe it happened right after the Commanders interview. I think Brian Flores played this thing good as far as the Vikings go. Brian Flores went out there, got an interview, showed the Vikings. Now, as far as a defensive coordinator go, I can get me another job. Commanders probably saw kind of what the money was going to look like as far as him going to be another DC. Went back to the Vikings. Vikings signed him. Brian Flores, it's being reported Brian Flores got signed last week. So now it makes sense why the Cowboys didn't interview Brian Flores, because I think they already knew what the deal was. Mr. Get Dirty, what's going on? Big Rombowski said, well, these 32 owners are in lock and step away from the field and making money, and Flores went on to sue all 32 of them over the way he got fired in Miami, which I'm on Flores' side, as he said no to tanking. Yeah. Big Rombowski, do you remember when the Houston Texans actually fired Lovie Smith for winning the last game of the season that year and knocking them, I think, out of the number 1 draft pick? Fired Lovie Smith, man. Fired him. Fired him, man. The Big Rambowski said, but his lawsuit should have gone towards Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, instead of the whole NFL. Ross wanted him to tank so that they could draft Burrow. Yeah, Big Rambowski. Oof. Man, man, you know, I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm struggling with this. I'm not telling you I would tank if the team asked me to tank. But if the team asked me to tank, I don't know if I would sue the team. I just wouldn't tank. I would just kind of let those chips fall where they may. I don't know. I'm struggling with it. Because, I mean, you just got to ask yourself what you want. And so the NFL is a powerful entity, man. The NFL is a powerful entity. It's hard to go up against the NFL, man. Jerry Jones himself. And Jerry Jones is a part of the architect of the modern day NFL. And not even Jerry could stop the juggernaut that he helped build. Not even Jerry could stop it. Shoot, Jerry Jones almost risked it all for Ezekiel Elliott. The NFL is a juggernaut, man. The NFL is a juggernaut. It's a juggernaut, and it's hard to go against. Rombowski said Flores would have won in a settlement out of court just to save the NFL from the embarrassment Stephen Ross caused, and the NFL would have pressured him to settle too. Yeah, man. I'm just telling you. The NFL is it's a juggernaut, man. Yeah, Andre Johnson, the ownership stick together. They do. They do. It's man. Shoot, you don't play with the NFL. Better leave the NFL alone. You better leave them alone. They are a powerful entity. And so, again, I don't want to keep talking about Brian Flores. It is what it is. Brian Flores is going to be back with the Minnesota Vikings. But understand this. It wasn't just about Brian Flores. It wasn't just about Brian Flores not wanting to be with the Cowboys. It was about Brian Flores wants to be a head coach, and it was head coach or bust. But at the same time, I mean, Junior makes a great point. Nobody was literally, it didn't seem like anybody was beating down the door of Brian Flores before he interviewed with the Washington Commanders. It didn't seem like nobody was beating his door down. I think there are a lot of teams out there that no matter how good Brian Flores is, there are a lot of teams, and I think the majority of the teams out there, they've already written Brian Flores off. I think they've already written him off. I think they have relegated him to the most you're going to be in this league is going to be a defensive coordinator. That's how I see it. I mean, maybe Pittsburgh will prove me wrong, and maybe they'll call him up in a couple of days and make him the head coach. But it just seems like to me with the current trend of how these teams have been moving, when their guy gets in the building, he don't leave the building without a deal. He don't leave the building without a deal. Okay, and Tatiana's reporting, I think I just saw this over here. I'm looking at it too. Yeah, the Ravens, they went with Jesse Minter. Man, I want y'all to think about this. Jesse Minter over Brian Flores, man, that's an absolute joke. But it goes to show you. I just don't think Brian Flores is on a lot of people's list. I just think a lot of them are just writing him off. Lynn said, gee, the league is cold-blooded business. Yes, sir. Football business. You better believe Flores suing him has a lot to do with it. Ruby Sweet, what up, Ruby Sweet? Flores will never, ever get a head coaching job, not with the lawsuit hanging. I think it's, I agree with you. Kevin Ellis. To talk to Mike McCarthy. You ain't serious about winning. Man, you ain't serious about winning. You you are not serious about winning calling Mike McCarthy. You're not serious. Hey, Pure Gaming. Hey, you know what? That's what I was saying, man. I don't know. Pure Gaming. Man, shoot. Man, Pure Gaming. Hindsight is 2020, bro. I mean, I don't know. Hey, Pure Gaming, me and you would have had a conversation, bro. Because me and you both would have been in the room. So me and you both would have been in the office in the coaching meeting talking about, hey, we got to fire him, man. To miss Joe Burrow, especially looking at C.J. Stroud right now. Oh, my gosh. The regression of C.J. Stroud, man, it's going to have to be studied. It's going to have to be studied. Pure Gaming, boy, you ain't lying. That's a fireable offense. Ace Wade, exactly. How do you get fired for winning? He got fired winning, bro. Winning. For sure. Yeah, 72 Chevelle. Yeah, he already re-signed with him. Yeah, they said he re-signed last week. So once he interviewed with the Washington Commanders, Vikings got him in and got that deal done. And so he basically made a decision. It's either head coach or bust. So he got re-signed. It's head coach or bust. No defense coordinator, and Cowboys, and I think not only the Cowboys and some others probably got wind of that. They did. Junior said Brian learned the hard way. Sometimes it isn't worth trying to stick it to the man. Junior, appreciate that super chat. Junior, man, let me tell you what somebody told me one time in the corporate world. Let me tell you what they told me, bro. And this stuck with me from that point forward. You do not make a swipe at the king unless you know you can take him out. It ain't worth it. It isn't worth it. It isn't worth it taking a swipe at a lion if you don't kill him. If you don't kill him, do not take the swipe. It's better to turn and get away. If you got a way of escape, live to fight another day, because it is not worth it. Because if you don't knock that king down or knock that king off with that one swipe, he's going to destroy you. He is going to destroy you. Bottom line. Tatiana, let me tell you something. If the Buffalo Bills hire Brian Daboll as their offense coordinator, they're not serious about winning either. They're not serious about winning. Brian Daboll is terrible. Maybe calling plays. Brian Daboll is terrible. Brian Daboll, what he did when Jackson Dart took that hit, he goes to the tent trying to get Jackson Dart back in and made him play, and he probably was concussed. Brian Daboll could never coach for me. Ron Bowski said, my money is on Raheem Morris as the new 49ers DC. I can see that. I've read he's friends with Kyle Shanahan, so they'll be coaching together again if he chooses to go there. I can see that. All right, let's go over to the Jim Leonhard issue. The Cowboys realized, and I reported on this, I think it was either this week or last week. I think it was this week. I believe the Cowboys had to give up on Jim Leonhard too. I believe the Cowboys had to give up on Jim Leonhard because I believe the Cowboys started seeing the smoke around Jim Leonhard. Jim Leonhard is going to be a hot commodity. He's going to be able to get almost any interview that he wants after they either win or lose on Sunday. Jim Leonhard is a hot commodity, and I believe the Cowboys realize John Harbaugh is in the Jim Leonhard sweepstakes. Matt LaFleur is in the Jim Leonhard sweepstakes. There will be other teams, mark my words, they will be in the Jim Leonhard sweepstakes. And I believe the Cowboys looked at the issue with Jim Leonhard and looked at the odds of getting him, and they said, we got to make a decision. We can't wait on Jim Leonard. Because if we mess around and wait on Jim Leonard, we may not even get Christian Parker or Durante Jones. So I believe the Cowboys made a decision. The Cowboys made a decision, and they went with Christian Parker. They went with Christian Parker. And I'm going to tell you why I believe they went with Christian Parker. But Leonard, I've already beat that horse. I don't want to keep beating that dead horse either. So let's move on to the now what. So let's move on to the now what with the Dallas Cowboys. And this is where I am with the Dallas Cowboys. Now that the Cowboys have finally decided on their defensive coordinator, now that they finally decided, now it's time to move on to free agency. Now it's time to move over to free agency. And not only to move over to free agency, let's go over here too. It is time to move over to free agency, and it's time to move over to the draft. Because now you have got to go and get Christian Parker the players that he needs. And it's simple for me. If I am looking at the players that Christian Parker needs, then I'm going none other than to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm going to look at how the Philadelphia Eagles have been so successful. Man, let me tell you something. I know none of us don't like the Sheagles and all the names we call them. But, man, we got to understand. Man, the Philadelphia Eagles have been on an incredible run since that Nick Foles Super Bowl. They have been on an incredible run. They have now, in the last 5 years, let this sink in about the Eagles. They have been to the playoffs 5 years in a row. If I'm not mistaken, they've been to the playoffs, 5 years in a row? Not only have they been to the playoffs 5 years in a row, they have been to the Super Bowl. As much as we hate on them, they have been to the Super Bowl. Let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have been to the Super Bowl 2 times in the last 5 years. Man, we can hate on them all we want to. But these dudes have been on a historic run since 2017. Do we not realize the run? Let me show you the run the Eagles have been on since 2017. And the reason why I bring this up, if I'm going to, now I got to go out and get Christian Parker, I got to get him the players. And so I got to look at where has he been the most successful? Well, of course, it's been with the Eagles. So I need to try to get him something similar to what the Eagles got. Because, man, look at what the Eagles have done. It's insane when you think about it. 2017, Super Bowl. 2018, divisional round. 2019, wild card. They missed in 2020. 2021, wild card. 2022, Super Bowl. 2023, wild card. 2024, Super Bowl. 2025, wild card. They have been on an incredible run. So if you're going to help Christian Parker as well as help this Dallas Cowboys defense, well, now you got to get him the players. Because I'm going to tell y'all now, a part of the problem with Matt Eberflus was the players. Matt Eberflus was not happy with the players the Cowboys had. I mean, bottom line. Bottom line, man, he didn't have the players. And he basically said, man, I'm not willing to work with the players. But the Cowboys have got to get this man the players. If I'm not mistaken, CGW, can you name some potential staff accompanying Coach Parker? I don't know who he's going to. I'm not sure who he's going to bring, But if I'm not mistaken, the Cowboys have quietly already made some picks as far as his defensive staff. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the Cowboys hired, I don't know if y'all had saw this. Cowboys hired 3 coaches recently. Let me see if I can find it. I saw it the other day. But the Cowboys hired some coaches recently. Because I know one of the coaches they hired was Greg Ellis. Let me see here. They hired Greg Ellis, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to see where that was. But if I'm not mistaken, the Cowboys had already quietly hired some people. Let me see. Because you have to realize Greg Ellis is defense. So Cowboys hired Greg Ellis. Let's see. Okay, wait, that was old. Okay, I saw something old. That's my bad. All right, that was my bad. Cowboys hired Greg Ellis last year. I thought they'd hired Greg Ellis this year. They hired him last year. I don't know as far as these defensive staff go. Poobie D, I'm not sure. You said we have to let him assemble his own staff. I don't know if he's going to just stick with the staff that he has. But I would agree. I don't think you're going to start with a whole new staff. But they probably need to let him bring in some people. They need to let him bring in some people because I'm going to bring up some facts about Parker here in just a moment. But the big issue with Christian Parker, you got to get him the players. You have got to get him the players. We cannot let this man come in here with Triquez Bridges, Reddy, Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson. You can't let that be this man's back end and say, now we want you to turn them into all pros. Oh, heck no. Heck to the no. No. No, the Cowboys have got to get this man some players. They have got to get him some players because I don't think they're going to turn over the whole defense for him. I don't think they're going to turn over the whole defensive staff for him. They got to get him players. They have got to get him players, and that's the big issue. They got to get him players. If they don't get him players, then none of this is going to matter. So they have to get him players. Let me read a couple of super chats, then we're going to come back to I want to give you some facts on Christian Parker that are incredible. Jamalism said he is exactly who we need. I hate to say it, but the Eagles D is physical, and we need that bad. Hey, Jamal, they've been physical for a minute. And that's why I say if the Cowboys, the next phase is they have to go out there and get this man a defense similar to what he was looking at in Philly. They got to get him something similar to what he was looking at in Philly. So they already got him the defensive line. So they'll be good to go with the defensive line. But what they're going to have to get him now is linebackers, corners, safeties. They have got to get his back end, get the back end of the defense right. Now, Demarion Overshown ain't going nowhere. But I'm going to tell you what I believe about the Cowboys and Demarion Overshown. I am so thankful. This is Demarion Overshown's first season. He's going into the offseason healthy. Thank God for that. But if I'm the Cowboys, I have got to get some insurance for him. I got to get some insurance. Shamar James, I'm sure he'll make steps. But I'm going to tell you, and this is no hate on Shamar James. This is no hate on Leofau. But one of the things I want the Cowboys to stop doing is stop trying to go in the draft and pick these players and try to hit on these late round draft picks and have them coming in and expecting them to play like first round draft picks. I want them to go out there and get some top flight players. Free agency. The Cowboys need to sit down now in the room and say, free agency is coming up. We're playing on day one. We're playing on day one of free agency. Day one, let's pick a player that we're going to overpay for. Pick one player you're going to overpay for, because you got to spend to win. And you're going to have to, rather than taking chances on players who are washed up, how about taking a chance and spending some money on a doggone player? Spend some money. Go out there and say, we have a need. We have a glaring need, whether it be Mike, whether it be safety, whether it be corner. And you go in that free agency and say, we're going to overpay for a player. We're going to overpay. Bottom line, we're overpaying. Don't care who it is. We're overpaying for a top flight player that can come in right now. And help us win. Because we got to be careful. Trying to depend upon all of these free agents depending upon all these rookies coming in. We got to be very careful with that. Because there are some show enough rookies that the Cowboys are going to get. Those 2 first-round picks, they're going to be starters more than likely. So you have got to go out there and say, I'm going to overpay. I'm overpaying. So let's kind of go down the list of what they need to do for Christian Parker. So, free agency. Number one thing, re-sign George Pickens. You got to re-sign George Pickens. Got to re-sign him. But that's a no-brainer. I'm not talking about him as spending. No, that's a no-brainer. He's on the squad. Get his deal done and be done with it. And I do believe, and I'm going to give Jerry credit, I believe they're going to get George Pickens done sooner than later. Oh, the Cowboys, man, hey, don't y'all worry about the Cowboys and their salary cap issue. The Cowboys, easy. They can make 4 flips in a snap of a finger and probably get upwards of $140 to $150 million. Void years on Dak Prescott's contract. Void years on CeeDee Lamb's contract. Void years on Jake Ferguson's contract. Void years on Deron Bland's contract. Void years on Ty Smith's contract. That's 5 players. The Cowboys will easily be able to accumulate probably more than $140 to $150 million. Do not worry about the salary cap. The salary cap is mythology. You just got to know how to play it. Now, as we go into the free agency, the Cowboys have got to go into free agency. And they got to be willing to say, we're going to overspend on the first day, and we're going to play on the second day, and then we'll see what's left on the third day. One of the things the Cowboys do too much is they let the first day go by and say, oh, that's the day everybody overspends. You need to overspend too. Now, I'm not sure the Cowboys are going to do Trey Hendrickson, but I will not be surprised if the Cowboys look at Trey Hendrickson. I do believe the Cowboys need to seriously be looking at Jalen Phillips from the Philadelphia Eagles. Mr. Get Dirty. The only reason why I do not want the Cowboys to get Max Crosby, it's not that I don't want the Cowboys to get Max Crosby. The reason why I don't want them to get Max Crosby is because they're going to have to give up draft picks. I don't want the Cowboys to give up draft picks for Max Crosby. I don't want the Cowboys to give up draft picks for Max Crosby. You could do better by going out there and getting Jalen Phillips. Get Jalen Phillips because you don't have to give up any draft capital. Get Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips, 26 years old, number 4 ranked. He's the number 4 ranked defensive end available. They said that is going to be available in free agency. 2021 first round pick. The Eagles acquired the 2021 first-round pick in exchange for a third-round pick, and he finished the year with 73 quarterback pressures, tied for the 9th most in the NFL. Phillips' 41 pressures from weeks 10 to 18 with the Eagles ranked as the 6th most in the league in the second half of the season. I'm going to try to get Jalen Phillips, man. Mike Smooth, what up? I'm going to try to get Jalen Phillips. Even if I look at Trey Hendrickson, I would get Jalen Phillips over Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson coming off of an injury, I would go with Jalen Phillips. And if I'm the Cowboys, my first order of business, if there's a player that I'm going to overpay for as we go down this, y'all tell me what y'all think. But me, I'm targeting Jalen Phillips. If I'm the Cowboys, and if there's a such thing as a free agency big board, on my free agency big board, Jalen Phillips. I'll take Jalen Phillips over Max Crosby because I don't want to give up the draft capital. I'll take Jalen Phillips over Trey Hendrickson because Trey Hendrickson is coming off of an injury. He's coming off of an injury. And I don't want to deal with another player coming off of an injury, and then you're going out there and you're overpaying for a player, and then you're dealing with a nagging injury for the rest of the season. No, Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips. If I were the Cowboys, maybe not on day one, I might be looking at Rasheed Walker. He's a left tackle. I may be looking at Rasheed Walker. But I'm primarily sticking to defense. Number 10, Quay Walker. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, on my big board, there are players that I am picking to say I'm willing to overpay. I'm willing to overpay for Jalen Phillips. I'm willing to overpay for Quay Walker. I'm looking for the players that I'm willing to overpay for. I'd be looking at Odafe Quay. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'm looking at Odafe Quay. I'm looking at Tyreek Woolen. I'm just saying I'm creating a big board of players that I'm willing to either overpay for or my day twos. Alontae Taylor, he's a corner. I'm putting him on the big board. Devin Lloyd, no doubt about it. I'm definitely putting Devin Lloyd on the big board. I'm putting Devin Lloyd on the big board. You got Jalen Watson. The Cowboys need corners. They got right tackle Braden Smith. All depends on what the Cowboys do with Terrence Steele, Ty Smith, and Tyler Guyton. But again, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm going defense. And I'm looking for these players to put on my big board. You got Kobe Bryant for the Seattle Seahawks. Another name. Very, very good safety for the Seattle Seahawks. He's got to be on my big board. I got to find defensive players that I'm willing to break the bank for. Boy Mafe. I'm not sure where he kind of stands, but I'm putting him on my big board. But I'm saying all of this because none of this matters if the Cowboys do not break the bank and get this guy to players. Nakobe Dean. I'm putting Nakobe Dean. Because the Cowboys, they don't have as much in the draft as they normally do. So I got to go free agency and draft. And so the Cowboys, if they want to hit the ground running, I got to hit the ground running. And I got to give Christian Parker some players. And I got to shore up the linebacker position. I got to get insurance. I got to get insurance for DeMarion Overshown. I might not be telling Mariano Overshown this as a team, but this is what I'm going to do as a team. I'm going to get some insurance. Cameron Curl, 26 years of age. I'm just telling us. Nashawn Wright. I mean, the Cowboys already had him. Maybe you bring him back and see what Christian Parker can do with him. But the Cowboys have got to create a big board. Maybe Joey Bosa for the right price. Maybe Joey Bosa. You got Jalen Hawkins for the Patriots, another candidate. Jamal Dean, cornerback. I mean, the Cowboys have got to go out here. Khalil Mack, maybe a depth piece as long as I didn't have to pay a lot of money. Khalil Mack, I would definitely bring him in for a depth piece, maybe a rotational piece. But again, if I'm the Cowboys, none of this matters if you don't go out there and get him the players. I bring in Brian Cook. I'm putting Brian Cook on my big board. Yep, Brian, he gets to make it. Jadeveon Clowney, no-brainer. Cowboys re-sign him. You're going to have to come off some more money, but I'm signing Jadeveon Clowney. I got to get Jadeveon Clowney back in here from the Cowboys. Bobby Wagner, maybe a depth piece. But if I'm the Cowboys, man, that's kind of where I'm going. I'm looking at the top 50. I'm creating my free agency big board. And I am going to determine who I'm going to pick up for Christian Parker, because none of this matters if you don't get him the players. My sister Angie, the Rebel Chicks, is in the building. What's going on, Angie? Good to see you. Yeah, Kevin Edwards. That's why I said that left tackle that was on there. I really believe the Cowboys, if they're not going to move Ty Smith to left tackle, if I'm the Cowboys, I got to bring a left tackle into camp this year. I'm telling y'all right now, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm not going another year. I'm not doing this Mozzie Smith stuff the Cowboys do. I'm not going another year without bringing in a left tackle to challenge Tyler Guyton, because I want to be ready. If Tyler Guyton ain't doing it this year, if Tyler Guyton's going to be injury prone because he's been hurt the last 2 seasons, if he can't do it, I don't want to be stuck again not having somebody that can do it. I'm bringing somebody in to challenge Tyler Guyton. I don't care. He's on a rookie deal. Guyton's on a rookie deal. It ain't like we've invested a lot of money into him. We've invested a draft pick, but we haven't invested a lot of money. Man, sometimes you got to be willing to say, this ain't working, move on and get someone else. Don't hold on to these players as long as the Cowboys do. If I'm the Cowboys, if I don't want to move Ty Smith to left tackle, then doggone it, I'm going to go out and get me a left tackle. If you can't draft him. And I'm going to tell you something about the Cowboys, guys. Let me keep it 100% real. The Cowboys seem to draft defense terrible. They have been terrible on defense. Michael Parsons failed to them. But for the most part, they have struggled at drafting on defense. If I'm the Cowboys, this is the very reason why I'm targeting. I am targeting free agency if I'm the Cowboys. I'm targeting free agency if I'm the Cowboys simply because we haven't been able to draft well at defense. So if you can't draft them, go get them in free agency. And no more trades if I'm the Cowboys. Don't trade any draft picks unless you see that you can work some kind of magic in the first round, and don't trade back any further than 2 to 3 spots. But if I'm the Cowboys, I have got to go out here and I got to start getting more insurance and keep giving these players chances. Don't get burned again on Mariano Overshown. Get some insurance. Don't get burned again on Tyler Guyton not completing a season or still saying stuff like he's improving. And no, go out there and get a proven commodity. Man, they don't have a lot of time. 3 years of Rayne Dakota Prescott remaining. 3 years. They got to hit the ground running, and they got to hit the lottery. They really do. All right, I'm going to read some comments, and then we're going to move on to the pros and the cons of Christian Parker. And then I'm going to show you some very interesting stats on Christian Parker and why the Cowboys probably hired him and why I could see in the discussion of choosing between him and Durante Jones of why the Cowboys would pick Christian Parker over Durante Jones. And who knows, Christian Parker might have even been a pick over Leonard in the grand scheme of things. All right, let's see here. All right, I'm going to read an article here about Jerry Jones hiring Christian Parker. I want to read some comments real quick. Kevin Edwards, what's going on with Kevin Edwards? Yeah, he said we can't give Tyler Guyton away. Don't give him away. But don't sit here and keep waiting on Tyler Guyton to develop either. Cowboys can't keep making that mistake. They do it all the time. When somebody show you who they are, believe them. Here's what I know about Tyler Guyton right now. A lot of potential. But understand what potential is. Potential is unrealized success. This is what I know about Tyler Guyton. A lot of potential. But I also know about Tyler Guyton, injury, prone. At least it seems at this point, 2 seasons in a row, injury prone. Number 3, he does good about 90% of the game, maybe 85%. But when Guyton gets beat, he gets beat bad. The Cowboys need to bring in some competition for Guyton. And they need to leave all their options on the table. Don't be afraid to move Guyton to right tackle. I want the Cowboys to seriously consider that. Even if you don't want to move Ty Smith to left tackle, consider moving Guyton to right tackle. Consider letting go of Terrence Steele. Now, some people say Terrence Steele is really good in the run game. They say he's really good in the run game. But in pass blocking, that dude be struggling. Kippy, what's going on? He said, G, you're absolutely right. We need to go into this draft and get 2 corners in the first round and get the linebackers and safeties in the edge and free agency. That's how the Eagles did it. Yeah. You got to look at what the Eagles did. I mean, if you want Christian Parker to have the similar or some of the similar success that they had when he was with the Eagles, well, you got to go get him something that resembles what the Eagles had. You got to get him something. Tatiana, exactly right. I'm hoping they will get the players. They can't expect changes if they don't get out and acquire the right players. Bottom line, now you got to get him the players. Christian Parker is not going to come in here and work miracles if you don't get him the players. Yeah, Dallas can free up about $100 million in cap space by restructuring Dak. And watch this. Dak's deal's already restructured. They restructure those deals when they first do them. Dak's deal is already restructured. CD's deal is already restructured. I forgot about Oso Digizua. His deal is already restructured. Ferguson, Smith, Bland. All of those deals have the switches built into the contracts. And they don't even have to ask the players. They ask the players when they're working out the deal. And so when they get to a point, whatever they want to do, boom, they flip the switch. They flip the switch. That simple. And so I do believe they're going to flip those. They're going to flip those switches. They're going to flip those switches, and they're going to be able to get a ton of money in the free agency. Freddie says, "Say what you want, call me what you want, but I am not into spin to win signing big name free agents. I'm more of a draft coach and develop those draftees, make coaches and their aides." Freddie Morales, 2 things can be true though. This is where the Cowboys have been making the mistake, Freddie, because everybody else already understands this game. You got to do it in free agency and the draft. The Cowboys do a pretty good job offensively drafting and developing. Where they've been struggling is drafting and developing on defense. So if you can't draft them, man, you got to go out there and get them in free agency. And especially on defense, go out there and get proven commodities. Because the Cowboys, man, Taco Charlton over TJ Watt is all you need to know. Man, the Cowboys have been terrible at drafting defensive players. They have been terrible at it, man. Let me see if we can pull up something on the Cowboys. So let's go back and look at the Cowboys picks, if we can, on defense. Let's go back and look. So let's go back. It says here to 2017. Taco Charlton. Man, Freddie, and I can agree with you on drafting and developing, bro. But when your track record shows that you're just not good at this, they're not good at it. Taco Charlton, Leighton Vander Esch. Y'all do know that Leighton Vander Esch was drafted with injuries. He had a neck injury when we drafted him. Sean Lee. We drafted Sean Lee. He was injured when we drafted him. I don't know if a lot of people know that about Sean Lee. He was injured when we drafted him. Jalen Smith, injured when we drafted him. We drafted Mozzie Smith, 2023. Michael Parsons failed to us. This is what we've done recently. We got Jay Toya. He's a 7th round pick. Don't really know what he is. Savon Revel Jr., Donovan Ezeraku, Shamar James, players like Leah Fowle. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, other than Demarion Overshown and Michael Parsons, who have really been those major draft picks that the Cowboys have got? I mean, they kind of hit on Oso Digizua. They hit on Trayvon Diggs in the beginning pre-contract. They hit on Deron Bland, kind of pre-contract, yet to be seen. But I'm going to show you something about Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland that we need to pay attention to, and not just them, but some other players that are tied to Christian Parker. And so, again, going not just the free agency, but going to the draft. The Cowboys have got to hit in free agency and the draft. And I'm telling us, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us agree, you have got to address a lot of major situations in free agency because you just don't have the draft capital to do it the way that you want to this year. So these first 2 picks, man, you got to get Mansour Delane. You got to draft a cornerback. You have to draft a cornerback at number 12. Now, you could draft the cornerback at 20, I guess. And if you don't draft the cornerback at 12, then you got to go in there and get Sonny Styles. You got to get a Sonny Styles type of player. You're going to have to get, in case somebody else falls to you. You got to be looking at some of these high energy, dog, edge, linebacker, corner. You got to do 2 of the 3. You got to make a choice in the draft. And so as the Cowboys are strategizing on what they're going to do in free agency and the draft, they got to have 2 big boards. They got to have a big board for free agency. They got to decide who they're going to, because I'm telling you, the Cowboys don't draft well on defense. They just don't. They do not draft well on defense. Somebody's got to tell me, who is the player other than Michael Parsons? Who is the player that they've drafted other than Michael Parsons that we would dare say, wow, this dude is off the chain the Cowboys drafted? Who is it? And maybe y'all can bring it to my recollection. But Michael Parsons, as far as I can remember, man, he's been the biggest defensive draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys in the last 8 years? Man, if you can't draft him, get him in free agency, man. Get him in free agency. Yeah, and again, like I said about Tyler Guyton, We don't have to get rid of Guyton. But I got to bring somebody in to challenge Guyton, man. I can't just let Guyton remain. I just can't keep going off of Guyton was a first-round draft pick. The Cowboys do this too much. Yeah, he's a first-round draft pick, so we got to give him 4 or 5 years. Nah, bruh. When I draft you in the first round, I expect you to be Cooper Beebe. I expect you to be Ty Smith. I expect you to be Tyler Booker. I expect you to come in and hit the ground running. I don't expect from a first-round draft pick 3 years of development. No, by 3 years, no. We ought to be talking about all-pro. Shoot, 3 years? Man, get out of here. Man, we ought to be talking about all-pro by year 3 for a first-round draft pick left tackle. Man, we ought to be talking about all-pro. Tyler Smith. Do y'all realize? Let me give you a little fact about Ty Smith. Ty Smith. Do y'all realize Ty Smith, 3-time Pro Bowler, 2023, 2024, 2025, second team All-Pro in 2022. What? Dude, wait, what? Hold on a second. Do y'all know where he got the 2022 second team All-Pro status? Let me remind us of how great Tyler Smith is. Smith started his career filling in at left tackle before becoming a dominant force at left guard, earning recognition from fans and the league peers early in his career. He took the place of Ty Smith. What? Ty Smith. Ty Smith is that great. He's that great, man. You should be talking about when you're drafting players in the first round, you ought to be talking all-pro. You ought to be talking all-pro by year 3. Ain't no way. Ain't no way you should be still having these conversations about Guyton. Unless you already knew that Guyton wasn't going to be what he is. No. And the Cowboys do this too much. They hold out hope that this player that they've drafted, the Cowboys do this to me sometimes. Rather than judging a player on what he is, they judge a player on what they projected him to be. And this is why the Cowboys sometimes will circle the block on a player that another team drafted, busted on that team, and then he becomes free, and the Cowboys will go get him because they had him on their board back in 2021, and they'll say, yeah, we had him high on our board in 2021, so now we're going to go and get him and see if we can make him into what we projected him to be. No. It's not like we got superior coaching. And if he couldn't be developed on that previous team, what make you think we're going to develop him on our team when we don't have superior coaching? I'm just saying. I'm not telling you throw Tyler Guyton away. I'm telling you, you need to bring in somebody to challenge this dude. And don't be afraid to put Tyler Guyton on the bench. Don't be afraid of it. Great teams are not afraid to move players to the bench that are not performing. Super Bowl teams are not concerned with that stuff. They're not concerned with that stuff. Bottom line, man, if you're not doing it, you're just not doing it. We'll bring somebody in who can do it. Or at least they're going to challenge you. Man, you'd be amazed what competition to do for somebody. You'll be amazed. Bring in somebody. The Cowboys protect the ego of some of their players way too much. If you got a player that you projected to be elite and he's not elite, then you need to bring in somebody to challenge him. I don't need anybody to challenge Smith, Booker, BB, Lamb, Pickens, Dak. I don't need people to challenge them because no matter who you bring in, they're going to perform at an elite level. It don't matter who you bring in. Quentin Williams, it don't matter who you bring in. Quentin Williams is going to perform at an elite level because he's an elite level athlete who puts a lot of work into his craft. But when I got a player who I thought was going to be elite and he's not elite, I can't keep waiting on him. It's not that I'm not going to give him a chance, but I can't keep waiting on him. I got to get to a point and finally say, hey, man, you know what? I got to bring in somebody. Man, I got to bring in somebody because I can't continue to tolerate underperformance. Maybe this will make him step it up a little bit. And I saw y'all's comments on Jake Ferguson. Can't believe Jake Ferguson made the Pro Bowl. I'm dumbfounded. I am dumbfounded on Jake Ferguson, man. But maybe it just wasn't. I don't know. Jake Ferguson was great at the beginning of the season, but boy, you want to talk about somebody that disappeared? Oh my gosh. This man disappeared. Absolutely disappeared. Absolutely. Jake Ferguson disappeared after the first, 5-6 games? Just disappeared. All right, so. Let's read the article over here on Christian Parker, and then we're going to talk about some pros and some cons of one Christian Parker. A lot of people are excited about the Cowboys hiring him, and I'm excited about it too. It's something, breath of fresh air in the building. I think he's going to be great for the players. Says the NFL world reacts to Jerry Jones hiring Christian Parker as the team's new defensive coordinator. It says the story of the Dallas Cowboys 2025 season was simple. A bad defense wasted one of the best years of quarterback Dak Prescott's career. And in a year where the division-winning Eagles won just 11 games, the Cowboys came up 3.5 games short. Fixing the defense is a Dallas top priority, and that's the start at the top. The Cowboys fired defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus and on Thursday named his replacement Christian Parker. Parker joined the Dallas staff after 2 years with the rival Eagles, where he was the passing game coordinator and defensive backs coach under defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. He's largely viewed as a quick rising defensive mind, and the NFL world took notice. Whether it's Cowboy fans, media members, or Eagle stars, the approval rating of the Harris hire, I think they meant Parker, I guess, of the Parker hire seems unanimous. It says the Eagles and Vic Fangio losing their minds right now, losing their right-hand man of their defense. James Palmer posted on X. Says here, James Palmer, the Eagles and Vic Fangio losing their right-hand man of their defense. Christian Parker has really impressed the last couple of seasons to coaches around the league. A really smart up-and-coming defensive mind will now be running the Cowboys defense per source. Cowboys gave up 30-plus points on 9 separate occasions in the wake of Michael Parsons' trade. Stop it. It still would have happened. The Cowboys didn't generate the pressure to compensate for the weaknesses on the back end. A meteoric rise for Christian Parker, who broke into the NFL as a defensive quality control coach with the Packers in 2019. 7 years later, he's expected to be the DC for the Cowboys. Man, this is great for the Cowboys. It's great for the Cowboys. I mean, they're taking it shows they're willing to take a chance. 34 years old. Parker spent the past 2 seasons as the pass game coordinator. Of course, it says Cooper DeJean. Man, they got a great one. Wouldn't be the player I am without Coach Christian Parker. Yeah. John Owning says, from what I heard throughout the process, Christian Parker absolutely nailed the interview process. Rose to the top of the preferred list quickly. Yeah. Said he looks like a home run. And his decision could play a significant role in head coach Brian Schottenheimer's future. You better believe it is. He showed positive signs in year 1 before being undone by his defense, and a second swing and miss at a defensive coordinator would be an indictment on his skills as a head coach. Yeah, they're tying him to it. They're tying him to it. There's no doubt about it. RJ Ochoa, love this so much. Respect for the Cowboys doing this right. The offseason is officially one of hope now. Well, it was last year, too. Cowboys did a lot of good things last year. We just got to understand sometimes things just don't turn out the way you expect them to. But I can tell us this now. There are no more mulligans. There are no more mulligans. It is what it is now. There's no more mulligans. Christian Parker is going to get at least 2 seasons. Christian Parker is going to get at least 2 seasons. So whatever comes with Christian Parker in the first season, we got to go with it. We got to go with it. We can't put a grade on it. Everybody's trying to put a grade on it. Let's not put a grade on Christian Parker yet. Let's let the rubber meet the road. Let's see how he turns this defense around in his first season. I'm not expecting him to come in and turn this defense into a number 1 defense in 1 season. I mean, it would be incredible. It would be incredible. Yeah, Mr. Take Your Chick. Yeah, DeMarcus Ware. But he was well before Michael Parsons. I mean, I can't think of anybody major since Michael Parsons as far as us drafting goes. So let's talk about the cons. These are the cons of Christian Parker. Pros and cons of hiring Christian Parker. And I think the pros outweigh the cons. I think one of the cons of hiring Christian Parker is he's never been a defensive coordinator. That is probably a pro and a con, but he's never been a defensive coordinator. So we don't know what that is going to bring. He's never called plays. So we don't know, we don't really know what he's going to look like. We don't know what he's going to look like as far as, what does he do? It's one thing to be up under Fangio, and it's another thing to do his own thing. Because you don't hire Christian Parker to be Vic Fangio 2.0. You hire Christian Parker to be Christian Parker. You hire Christian Parker because he told you some things in his interview that he wants to do with this team that is going to help you win. That's why you hire Christian Parker. So the cons of Christian Parker, for me, they are simple. He's never been a defense coordinator before. He's never called plays. And so, in number 3, we don't know what his system is. They know based on what he told them, but we don't know what his system is. Cons, again, it's the unknown. We don't know how the players are going to receive him. But I also think that's a pro because he's not someone from inside the building. He's not a retread. He hasn't been a part of the system. He gets to come in and kind of be him. And he gets to set the tone and the pace for who he is and how he wants to do things. So he's a breath of fresh air for the Cowboys. That's the pros. Again, brand new defensive coordinator, pro. It really is. Something fresh, something new. He's got a track record of winning. Philadelphia Eagles. He's got a track record. I mean, he's got a great track record. Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm going to give you something that's really, really powerful about Christian Parker. When you look at Christian Parker, I want you to see some of the defensive backs that Christian Parker has been responsible for. And this ought to make Cowboy fans giddy. This ought to make Cowboy fans excited. Has anybody noticed that Jair Alexander fell off the map? In 2019 and 2020, defensive quality control coach, he helped Jair Alexander become an All-Pro. 'Cause 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 ' He helped Jair Alexander to become an All-Pro. 2021 through 2023. Dak Prescott saw him when he was with Vic Fangio. And he is responsible for transforming what I believe, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the best cornerback in the league right now, his name is Patrick Surtain II. And look who was with him, none other than Christian Parker. If that don't get you excited, and I'm telling you now, it makes sense to me that the Cowboys would actually pick Christian Parker over Deontay Jones or actually anybody. I think it would be right to pick him because of his success with his proven success with defensive backs, which is where the Cowboys have the most problems. All right. Let me read a couple comments before I read the last one about Christian Parker. Freddie, you've already started out wrong with this comment. So Tom Landry, rest his soul, was wrong when he said it takes any player 5 years. 5 years to show you what a player is going to be. So was Landry wrong? Back then, no. Today, he's wrong. Freddie Morales, Tom Landry is wrong today. Tom Landry wasn't wrong then. Freddie Morales, we were living in a different era. There was not, the free agency of today was not the free agency of Tom Landry's day. You could draft a player back in Tom Landry's day. They drafted players with the intent on keeping those players 10 years plus. This is why you have those legendary players of the era of the Tom Landry years. Other coaches did it too. Teams owned players. They owned players, Freddie. Today, Tom Landry is wrong. If you don't hit the ground running in this league, if you don't hit the ground running, Freddie, within the first 3 seasons, you're done in this league. Landry is wrong. It wouldn't stand today. It wouldn't stand today. There are very few players in this league that anybody gives 5 years. Running backs, we expect them to hit the ground running. Wide receivers, tell me the wide receiver that somebody says, yeah, we're going to give him 5 years. Heck no. We expect that wide receiver by year 2. Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl. I'm going to tell you where else Tom Landry. And don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you Tom Landry is wrong. I'm telling you Tom Landry is wrong today, Freddie Morales. Because in Tom Landry day, the blue-collar mid-play, the blue-collar mid-play players were in the league. Freddie, we don't have those players hardly anymore. You're either highly paid or you're poorly paid. There is hardly no in-between. The teams are comprised of superstars and of low-paid players. The blue-collar player is a thing of the past in the NFL. And you will find that the teams who have found a way to kind of implement some of that old-school blue-collar stuff, they kind of be successful. But, Freddie, Tom Landry would be wrong today because nobody's going by what Tom Landry said. Nobody. Nobody would buy into what Tom Landry would do today. Nobody would buy into that. Nobody's waiting on players to develop for 5 years. Hardly ever they're doing that. Even quarterbacks. Quarterbacks by year 3 and really by year 2. But by year 3, they better be popping. Man, ain't nobody giving no doggone players 5 years. They're not giving them 5 years. If it takes a player 5 years in today's league to develop, Freddie, they're done. They're done. They're cut. They're done. They may go to another team and get that second opportunity, and then maybe we look back and go, oh, okay. It just took him a little bit longer. Man, ain't nobody giving no players 5 years today. Freddie, you got to understand something. I was alive and loved Tom Landry. You do realize Tom Landry, by the time Jerry bought the team, man, the Cowboys were trash, bro. Stop it. And I'm not telling you to stop it as in disrespect, but I'm just telling you. The league even passed Tom Landry by. Man, the league passed Tom Landry by, man. No coach can last that long. The league passed. I love Tom Landry. But ain't nobody giving no players no 5 years, man. Nobody waiting on no players to develop for 5 years. If you're not popping in this league by year 3, you probably on your way out the door. You're on your way out the door. And this is one of the reasons why people are not looking and checking for these these older coaches, because they don't want that type of thinking. No, this league is about, you think about the Super Bowl winners. Tom Brady is an anomaly. There are very few quarterbacks that are going to be Tom Brady. In this league, what do most teams expect from a first-round draft pick quarterback? What's the formula for winning the Super Bowl today? It's simple. What's the formula? You get a young quarterback, and you want him to hit the ground running so that you can put players all around him on his rookie deal. That's the formula. That's the formula. Nobody's giving quarterbacks 5 years. Nobody is giving quarterbacks 5 years. If they draft you in the first round, bro, if you're not popping by year 3, they are already looking to replace you. No, Tom Landry's formula don't hold up today, Freddie. I'm sorry. No disrespect to Landry, but nobody is thinking like Tom Landry thought back then, because back then they did things different. Man, they held on to players for 10 years. Man, they had them dudes. Man, I don't even want to use that word. They owned players before free agency, bro. They owned players. You had no choice. They would draft you with the intent of, you're going to be here for 10 plus years. You're going to be here for 10 plus years. Shoot, man, nobody giving you no 5 years, man. Man, ain't nobody giving you no 5 years. Man, you out of here. You out of here. Man, you out of here 5 years. Man, 3 years, you done. This league is different. This league expects rookie quarterbacks to win Super Bowls. This league different, man. This league different. This league different, man. They want rookie quarterbacks to win Super Bowls. Rookie quarterbacks.
Here we go.
All right, let me finish up the cons on, but I appreciate you, Freddie. I understand what you're saying, but this league is different, man. Let me finish what I'm saying about Christopher Parker and why we should be absolutely excited about Christopher Parker. Let me show you something else on Christopher Parker that is insane. This man's resume is crazy in the grand scheme of things as it applies to cornerbacks. And I think this is why the Cowboys got this man. His success with defensive backs. He's not only responsible for Jair Alexander All-Pro years. He's not only responsible for the best cornerback in the league, hands down right now, Patrick Surtain II. Anybody paid attention to the Philadelphia Eagles cornerbacks? Let me tell you something. Quinyon Mitchell, ball hawk. Quinyon Mitchell, shoot. Ball hawk. Ball hawk. That's Christopher Parker. Yeah. We ought to be excited. We ought to be excited. This man is a defensive back whisperer. He's a defensive back whisperer. I'm telling you. We ought to be excited. Defensive back whisperer. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, is because when you look at who the Cowboys are probably going to get in the first round, Mansour Delane. You want that new cornerback to come in here hitting the ground running, and you want him to turn Savon Revel Jr. and Mansour Delane into two of the best cornerbacks in the league, along with DeRon Bland, who I believe is now about to be the highest paid slot receiver in the league. It is what it is. It makes sense. Your safeties are bad. It makes sense. The Eagles, one of the things that has propelled them to the Super Bowl is their defense, their defensive line play, their linebacker play, and especially their safety and now cornerback play. Oh yeah, okay. Y'all said I'm working my neck with some of the stuff. I'm putting in some of my preaching mannerisms. Y'all forgive me. Man. Bama boy, he said Tom Landry last hurrah was in 82. NFC Championship game. Bama boy, let me tell you something. That was the last time I cried about football. Man, when Joe Montana threw that doggone touchdown to Dwight Clark in the back of that end zone, man, I don't think I'll ever forget that. I cried like a baby. I was 12 years old. Man, I cried like a baby. I'm not lying, boy. That, man, I'm telling you, that doggone 1982, the catch broke me. But, again, man, a lot of people do not realize Tom Landry was running the show in Dallas. Dallas was terrible. It was terrible when Jerry Jones bought it. It was. We was America's team, but we were terrible, man. And the thing that happened with Tom Landry was just in charge of too much. He was in charge of too much, and the game passed him by. Bottom line, the game passed him by. Tom Landry is the architect of a lot of things that we see defensively. This man was calling offense, defense, picking players. I mean, Tom Landry was incredible. But the game passed him by. It really did. And I don't like the way that Jerry escorted Tom Landry out of Dallas. I don't like the way he escorted him out of Dallas. But nevertheless, the game had passed Tom Landry by. It really had. It had passed Tom Landry by. Tom Landry in the 1983 season, that was pretty much the last hurrah of Tom Landry. Tom Landry went 12-4. And then when you look at Tom Landry after that, 9-7, 10-6, 7-9, 7-9, 3-13. Cowboys were on a serious decline, man. They were on a serious decline. And there was nothing Tom could do about it. There's nothing Tom Landry could do about it. So it was tough. It really was. And I don't think Tom had the time. I don't think Tom, because he had gotten older, he didn't have the time to fix the team. He just didn't. He just didn't have the time, man. Tom was old. Man, this game, I don't care who you are. Time is undefeated. Time is undefeated, people. You can be the greatest mind, you can be the greatest this, you can be the greatest that, but time is undefeated. Time gets everybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care how great you are. Time gets you. Yeah. It's going to get you either way. Kevin Edwards said Landry got sick. Man, the game passed him by too. the game passed Tom Landry by, man. It happens to everybody. I don't care who you are. Time is unforgiving, man. Time is unforgiving. If you don't learn to change with the time, you get left behind. Brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, time is undefeated. Bottom line, it's undefeated. 72 Chevelle. Tom Landry, 20 straight winning streaks out of 29 years. 72 Chevelle, you're correct. But his last few years, the team started going down. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think Tom Landry could make it in this era. It was a different era. I'm just telling you, this don't knock on Tom Landry. Even when we talk about Jimmy Johnson, y'all don't understand. And I'm not saying y'all don't understand, because I know you understand. Even Jimmy Johnson, as much as I love Jimmy Johnson, let me tell y'all something. It was a different era. Jimmy Johnson got into the Dallas Cowboys at a prime, opportune time. No salary cap, kind of a new free agency world, and you could pretty much do whatever you want to do. Now, fortunately, I don't think time passed Jimmy by, per se, but I don't even think Jimmy could make it in these days and times. I mean, it's different with a salary cap. Jimmy did that with no cap. I don't know if Jimmy could do it today. It takes longer to build a team today. Tom Landry. I don't know if Tom Landry could do it today because you build teams different today. You don't get to draft Roger Staubach and Tony Dorsett and Drew Pearson, and it's guaranteed you're going to have them for 10 plus years. Charlie Waters and guys like that, Too Tall Jones, Randy Martin. Man, I don't think you get to keep those players today. Hollywood Hendersons of the world. Man, you don't get to keep those players like that today. Today, a Tony Dorsett would come up on a contract, man, and you'd have to break the bank on Tony Dorsett. Man, you'd have to break the bank on Drew Pearson. You'd have to break the bank on Tony Hill. Man, you'd have to break the bank on Too Tall Jones, Martin. Man, you just go down the line. Man, Billy Bob Hayes. You'd have to break the bank on a player like that today. Man, I don't think Tom Landry could do it. When Tom Landry was coaching, there was a such thing called loyalty. Brothers and sisters, in this league, welcome to the Jerry Jones NFL. It's no longer about loyalty. It's a football business today. It's a football business. And in the football business, bro, I'm telling you now, brothers and sisters, I'm telling you now, Tom Landry, even Jimmy Johnson, shoot, man, I don't know if they could do it today. I don't know if they could do it today. I don't. I'm telling you now, I just don't think they could do it. It's too much. Landry wouldn't be able to manage a team by himself today. He couldn't do it. It's just too much, man. It's too much. Player acquisition is a year-round thing now. The competition because of free agency. The competition for players. Man, it's hard today, man. You would be hard-pressed to keep all those players. Man, all these players, man, people do not understand. The Cowboys had historical players. Man, you couldn't keep that many historical players on a team today because we already know what happens. Man, once some players get a Super Bowl, maybe get 2 Super Bowls under their belt, man, you can only break the bank on so many players. The rest of them, man, they say, man, I got the bowl game. I got the ring. Now it's time for the money. And they go get the money. There is no loyalty in this game today. There is no loyalty, man. I'm telling us. There's no loyalty. Tom Tom Landry would struggle in this league today. I don't think he'd be able to. I don't think he'd be able to stand it. I just don't think he'd be able to stand it. Miss Matrix, I got an answer for you. Miss Matrix said, can somebody tell me the difference in this Parker guy and Al Harris? Why didn't they elevate him instead of hiring Brian, instead of bringing in Eberflus? Miss Matrix, you ready for the answer? You might not like it. Brian Schottenheimer. There's your answer. Brian Schottenheimer. I brought this up earlier, Miss Matrix. Brian Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer is not fond of Al Harris. He's not fond of Al Harris. They hold Al Harris responsible for some of Trayvon Diggs' shenanigans. And so they don't, he was not fond. I don't think he disliked him, but he wasn't fond of Al Harris. Because Miss Matrix, before the 2024 season, all I was hearing was that Al Harris was going to be the next DC. That was all I was hearing. That's all I heard. Al Harris, next DC. And then all of a sudden, you start hearing those whispers about Trayvon Diggs, and it fell through. It fell through. Hold on, let me read a couple more comments about the Tom Landry thing, and let me give another answer to the Big Rumbowski, because let me show you how you are even proving my point. CGW said no free agency like now. No, it's totally different. Now, Rumbowski, don't forget Brady and Belichick went for 10 years between their 2 Super Bowl runs. Now, Big Rumbowski, watch how you prove my point. You know why Tom Brady stayed with the New England Patriots? 1, because he wanted to. Tom Brady is loyal. 1, because he wanted to. Rumbowski, you ready for number 2? And I know you already know this. Tom Brady took pay cut after pay cut after pay cut. That's how he stayed with Bill Belichick so long. Because Bill Belichick was ready he was literally ready to cut Tom Brady for Jimmy Garoppolo. Bill Belichick was ruthless. Only to find out Tom Brady was the reason he was winning. Stephen White, if you want applause for yourself, who will? Tom Brady stayed with the New England Patriots because he wanted to. Tom Kraft loved him. He was willing to take pay cuts. That's how he stayed with the Patriots so long. Man, ain't nobody doing that hardly today. Nobody's hardly doing that today. Rumbowski, let me tell you how crazy it is. If I am not mistaken, they are saying Tom Brady's TV deal is bigger than all the money he made in the NFL as far as his salary goes. Tom Brady signed in a ridiculous TV deal. What was it, $340 million? Tom Brady's TV deal, $375 million over 10 years. $375 million. Tom Brady's total football earnings. Tell me this isn't crazy. Tom Brady's total football earnings. $330 million over 23 NFL seasons. What? 23 NFL seasons, $330 million. Why? Because he took pay cuts. But then, when you go to his TV contract, 10 years, $375 million. do what? It's crazy. It just goes to show you why he stayed so long. That's how he stayed so long and was able to do what he did. Ron Hanna, I was 12 years old, bro. Ron Hanna, I'm telling you. Ron Hanna, I can remember because, man, people do not understand when you watch The Catch on television, it is not the same. Oh, Rombowski, yeah. And that part too. It's difficult to get back on top. And also, the other point you helped me prove, bro, Tom Brady only stayed there because he wanted to. Because had he not took them pay cuts, he was gone too. He was gone too. But look at his TV deal, $375 million. It's insane. Miss Matrix said, I would say I'm really starting not to like Shotty, but I never was on that train anyway. He better prove me wrong. Miss Matrix, I'm telling you, all evidence points to Al Harris not being here because of Brian Schottenheimer. Yeah. Big Rombowski said Fox paid out mega money. Doesn't matter, though. Giselle still earned twice as much money as her little ex-husband, Tom. Man, let me tell you something, Rombowski. And I'm not even being funny. Am I the only one who couldn't get the Giselle infatuation? I just didn't understand why she was this big-time supermodel. Now, I have to understand modeling is different because modeling, contrary to what people think, you don't really have to look good per se to be a model as much as you have to have a look. There's a difference in looking good and having a look. But I don't know. I never understood the Giselle thing. I just never understood it. But I can tell you this, Rombowski. Shoot, Tom Brady was smart. Shoot, Tom Brady put all his money in his mama name. She thought she was going to get some money out of Tom. Nah, Tom got all his money in his mama name. Shoot, he got his money in his mama name. He ain't worried about taking. He ain't worried about getting his money took. And you think about this. So Tom Brady over 23 seasons made $330 million, right? Just to show you how much the league has changed. Dak Prescott, right now, has made $296 million through the 2025 season. His contract isn't even done yet. Dak Prescott's contract isn't even done yet. Man, this league has changed, man. This league has changed. Tom Landry, I just don't think Tom Landry and people like him in that era, Chuck Knowles of the world, man, they couldn't make it in this era. It's too much. Miss Matrix, it's because she's got a particular audience. It ain't us. Miss Matrix, I never could understand it. I just couldn't. Ron Hanna, he said, I hope we get the right players. This is going to be the key, Ron Hanna. We got to get the right players. We can't do Christian Parker the way they did Matt Eberflus. Now, the thing that I like about Christian Parker ain't going to come in here talking about I ain't got the players, so he ain't going to do what he needs to do. Christian Parker's going to come in here and do whatever he's going to. He's going to do what he can with what they give him. Yeah, Baz, I'm telling you, boy, that boy Brady, smart boy. Shoot. Yeah, that boy good, man. That boy good. Boy, put that boy in his mama them name. Pooper D said on box, that's a lot of money. Man, $375 million, bro, for the television deal. $37.5 million a year. Man, ain't no broadcaster. Man, I don't think no broadcaster gonna catch that man, boy. I don't think nobody gonna catch that man broadcast. There's gonna be some man. Have y'all seen where they trying to knock Tony Romo out the box, man? Man, people been complaining about Tony Romo. They want to get rid of Tony Romo. Bama boy, man, let me tell you something. I'm telling you right now, boy. I didn't just cry because the Cowboys lost in 1982. I cried because it was Danny White. Danny White is another throwback to a time that is past and gone. Danny White could have started for other teams. I'm telling y'all, and I know any of y'all who watched the Cowboys back then. Danny White could have started for other teams. Danny White was incredible. This dude could punt and play starting quarterback. Danny White was different, man. Danny White was incredible and didn't have the players. He didn't have quite the players that Roger had, but Danny was incredible. Danny spent, and this goes to show you, to me, why that era was so flawed. Danny White, who was a very good quarterback and capable of starting in this league, Danny White literally had to spend the majority of his career sitting behind Roger Staubach, punting the ball. Travesty. Travesty, man. In this day and time, I don't think Danny White stays behind Roger Staubach that long. I don't think he stays behind Roger Staubach that long. I believe in today's league, Danny White would have came up, his contract would have ended, and Danny White would have went somewhere else and would have had an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. It just goes to show you how that era was flawed. It was flawed, man. That era was flawed. It kept some really great players on teams who they probably could have been legendary players on other teams. But because of that era, they couldn't leave. And this is why college football has changed. This is exactly why the college football landscape has changed. This is why Nick Saban left college football. Nick Saban can still coach. Nick Saban didn't want to deal with the NIL because Nick Saban understood that the NIL leveled the playing field. The NIL has leveled the playing field. It's no longer about Nick Saban walking into your son's living room saying, "Come play for me, and I'll have you in the pros in 4 years." Nah, that ain't happening no more. Now coaches can walk into your living room and say, "Hey, we want to pay your son $3 million a year to play quarterback, $4 million a year to play quarterback, $3 million a year to be our running back. You don't have to wait 4 years. You can get into that new home today. Sign right here." This is why Nick Saban is out of this thing. There's no more loyalty in sports. And don't get me wrong, and I don't blame him. I never liked the fact that the NCAA was making billions off these players. Not only just college football, the TV money, the jersey sales, I mean the likeness of these players. Meanwhile, these players, they're saying, "Oh, well, you getting a 4-year paid thing to school." Man, you ain't got me here to go to school. Stop it. You ain't got me here to go to school. You got me here to win football games and bring this organization money. This is why Nick Saban is gone. There's no loyalty no more, man. It's all a business. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I am not mad about these young men getting money. Especially when everybody is making money off them except them. And then got the unmitigated gall to say, "Well, you getting up." Man, nobody care about them dog up. Man, I'm going to go to the league one day and I'm going to be a $50 to $100 million player, bro. I can always go back to college and finish my degree. No, doggone well, they ain't got them kids there for no doggone money. They got them kids there so that they can win. Win football and basketball games. But I'm just saying all that to say, man, them days of the Tom Landrys, even Nick Saban, the game passed Nick Saban by. The game passed Nick Saban by. That's why Nick Saban said bye to the game. Nick Saban said bye to the game, man. It's over. This game is different. It's a football business. Bottom line. Bama boy, he said, I hate the NFL and transfer portal. I hate it with a passion. Bama boy, you know what? And I'm not going to disagree. You know, I can understand where you are. But I'm going to tell you what I don't agree with. I don't agree with what they have done to these young men for years. Make billions, not millions, billions of dollars. And then these young men, oh, yeah, well, at least you got a college degree. I don't give a doggone about an $80,000 college degree when you done made millions off my name, off my skill. I don't care nothing about no doggone college degree. I'm not telling you I don't care about it, but don't try to hold a college degree over my head when you done made millions off me. Man, miss me. That's crazy to me. They should have been stopped that years ago. They should have stopped that years ago. It's crazy. It's absolute crazy. The Big Rumbowski said if they get paid, then it also means the school gets to terminate their employment too. Man, I'm telling us, that stuff was crazy they was doing in college football. I'm glad they're getting paid. I think they need some regulations of some sort. But as far as them getting paid, no. But it is what it is. The game is what it is, man. The game is what it is. It's funny to me that it's football, even though the guys upstairs, it was a football business. They're drafting the players for a football business, but telling the players they ought to be glad to be playing football and getting a doggone degree they may never use. Man, it's funny it's a business to them, but it shouldn't be a business to the players. But I'm just saying, the game has changed. The game is changing, so, man, we got to hit the grounds running. We got to hit the ground running. We do. And so the Cowboys have got to get them players. Richard Baptiste, he said, man, I wish I was playing now. Man, I would be rich right now. Yeah. Richard Baptiste, what position did you play? Jaden said most college players didn't have enough money to take a date to get a pizza. And if the player took a free slice of pizza, boom, it's an NCAA infraction. Jaden Justin, they can tell me anything they want to, Jaden. It was not about morals and values. It was about not letting those young men make a dime off their own likeness. I'm not telling you that I think the NIL is perfect, but what I am telling you is it definitely did something that they should have been doing all along. Those young men should have been getting paid. Should have been getting paid. Ain't no doubt about it. Yeah. Again, Bama boy, I agree. They need some regulations. Yeah, they still on the NFL portal 3 to 4 year contracts. If you break that, return the money and you sit out a year period. Yeah, they need some regulations on it. That's the problem. They need some regulations. Devin Mills said the players are getting sued for leaving their respective schools. They just need to regulate it. That's all they need to do is regulate it. Make sure, guys, you sign a deal, and that's it. You stick with that contract. 72 Chevelle said Danny White took us down the field in the field goal range to win. Then we had 2 penalties, which took us out of field goal range. 72 Chevelle. Boy, I'm telling you, I cried like a baby boy. Boy, I wanted Danny White. I wanted Danny White to get a Super Bowl so bad. And Ron Hanna, I'm 12 years old at the time, too. I have no clue why I'm feeling this way at 12 years old. Man, I'm 12 years old, and I'm wanting Danny White to get a Super Bowl. Boy, I wanted Danny White to get a Super Bowl so bad. Boy, I don't know what to do. Boy. I wanted Danny White to get a Super Bowl, man, because I felt like he deserved it. After sitting behind Roger Staubach all those years, I just felt like he deserved it. Boy, I cried like a baby. Jesse Gardner said, I can't wait to see what the Cowboys' new defense coordinator can do. Man, I'm excited for him. I'm excited for him because I think he's going to be good for the back end, which is where the Cowboys have been hurting for years. He said, Cowboys haters don't bother me. They just make me cheer for my Cowboys. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Stephen Campanella said, the bottom line is all the sports. The money the players make is sickening while we go to work. And bust our butt day in and day out and make breadcrumbs. Then they play for money only. Steve Campanella. Let me tell you something about this world. Let me tell you something about this world I learned. The people who probably should be making the millions of dollars, they don't make the millions. The teachers, the law enforcement, firefighters, the medical game, it's a lot of money depending upon where you are in it. But you'll find out that the people who do the most work get paid the least. That's the world we live in. And another thing about this world we live in is people would rather pay for what they want rather than what they need. And I have learned something even about being, and even as being a preacher. I could be making a ton of money as a preacher if I wanted to be. I could make a ton of money. But I'm just not the type of preacher that likes to compromise as far as it pertains to the word of God. So I don't compromise, and so, turn down speaking engagements. I just have no desire for all the speaking engagements and stuff of that nature, the popularity. I turned away from all of that because that is not my goal. But that's the world we live in. That is absolutely the world we live in. It is all about the money. That's what it's about. It's all about the money. And the people, Steve, they'll pay you to tell them what they want. They'll pay you to entertain them. Why do you think there are so many prosperity preachers out there? Because people will pay you to tell them what they want to hear rather than what they need to hear. And if I was the kind of preacher that would tell people what they want to hear, man, let me tell you something. Boy, man, let me tell you something. I mean, I'm not even patting my own self on the back. I got a little bit of skill at preaching. Preaching is as much knowledge as it is skill. And people like the way I preach, but at the same time, you just, people will pay you to tell them people will pay you. You remember that famous line in Gladiator? Are you not entertained? People will pay you, man. They'll pay you. And so that's why for these players, I don't know if they get paid too much. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're pretty much worth what anybody will pay you. Hey, I mean, we may say sometimes somebody's not worth it, but I don't know if I can say somebody's not worth it if somebody's willing to pay them for it. I mean, that's all I can tell you. It is what it is. Yeah, Bama boy, again, it needs some regulation, man. Boy, Robert Dudley, you ain't never lying. And you know what? Maybe, I don't know about the best. He definitely in the top 5. Because I'm going to tell you another one that didn't win a Super Bowl. And that was Dan Fouts. Shoot, Dan Fouts was a monster of a quarterback. Dan Fouts, Dan Marino. Phew. But man, maybe Danny could have been one of them. Because I'm telling you, in today's game, shoot, Danny would have never stayed with the Cowboys that long. Somebody would have poached him off the Cowboys team. That Joker's contract would have been up. Danny would have went somewhere else. Danny could play, man. KH, you just said a mouthful. What if you get a major injury and don't make it to the pros? Get that money now. Yes, sir. Big Rumbowski said, would you have pulled the trigger on that John Elway for White trade after the 83 draft while Elway was holding out? It was on the table, but Dallas didn't pull the trigger. Big Rumbowski, I'd have been hard-pressed not to. I'd have been hard-pressed not to. Elway was the man, boy. They were both good. Yeah, boy, that boy Danny White was, man, I cried, boy, I'm telling you. Old school, yeah. Teachers shape our lives, man. The people who do, the people who should get paid the money don't. Man, there are prosperity preachers out there. They make tons of money. You get preachers who stay with the truth. I mean, they're not going to make a lot of money in preaching. I'm going to tell you that much. And I absolutely could. I'm telling y'all I could. I refuse to do it. I was listening to Dave Chappelle the other day. He said something that was mind-blowing to me. Dave Chappelle said, and this is when it was Dave Chappelle, wink, wink, when he did that interview on the Oprah show after he had came back from running to Africa, wink, wink. Dave Chappelle said, success will take you places that your morals cannot endure. It was the first time I heard him say it. Success will take you places that your morals can't endure. That's the world we live in. That's why the Bible says the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. See, money ain't the problem. And there's nothing wrong with being rich. There's nothing wrong with having a lot of money. Loving money is the root of all kinds of evil. That's the problem. Campanella, he said, gee, that's why I like you, because you're a real dude and we appreciate you for being real and you're my brother. Yes, sir, no doubt. Ron Hanna, he said, man, I was 13. I want the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl, but Joe broke me, man, with that throw. No, Ron Hanna, it's not the throw that broke me. Ron Hanna, do you know there are people for years said Joe Montana was actually throwing that ball away? I don't know if y'all have heard this theory about the catch in 1982. The theory is Joe Montana was throwing the ball away. That was the theory. And if I'm not mistaken, Everson Walls had an incredible year that season and had a lot of interceptions. I mean, Everson Walls was incredible. And if you look at Dwight Clark, a lot of people don't realize Dwight Clark was 6'4". This man was 6'4", y'all. So Joe Montana throws that ball, and some say he was throwing that ball out of bounds. Dwight Clark, 6'4", jumped up in the air, because when you look at the catch, it looks insane. It just looks like Dwight Clark out of nowhere just snagged this ball out of just like no existence. I said, what? Man, it looked like that ball was going out of bounds. Because when Joe Montana threw it, I started jumping up and down when he threw the ball because I said, oh, he throwing it away. I mean, that doggone 6'4" Dwight Clark. Man, that dude jumped up out of nowhere. Boy, when he caught that ball, I'm just telling you now, I cried. Golly, man, that was crazy. Hey, man, let me tell you something, Rick Rombowski. Gladiator is one of the movies. Man, when I first saw they put out Gladiator 2, I said, boy, y'all done messed up. You can't come behind Gladiator. You can't do it. Can't come behind Gladiator, man. Poobie D. Poobie D. He said, I still don't like Dwight Clark. Poobie D, I'm telling you, bro, Dwight Clark, man, the theory is Joe Montana threw that ball away. And I'm telling you, it didn't even look like the White Clark was supposed to catch that ball, because the White Clark just came out of nowhere and just skied on that ball, man. Just skied on that thing and caught it. Boy, y'all got me in my feelings already. Boy, that doggone game. Woo! That doggone catch right there, that did me in right there, boy. That catch broke me. I wasn't good for a week. Big Rombowski, he said, yep, there's a clip of Bill Walsh talking to Joe Montana on the sideline before the play, saying exactly that. If it's not there, then throw it away. Man, I'm telling you, it looked like he threw that thing away. And that doggone Dwight Clark. People don't realize that dude was 6'4", man. Man, that's basketball. Man, that's basketball hype. Man, that dude jumped up out of nowhere and caught that thing, man. Boy, I cried my eyes. Boy, I'm laughing. Nick Mercer, you cried too? Boy, I was crying, man. Boy, I was crying, man. I said, ain't no way. It is so crazy. Because I'm telling you, when he threw the ball, I started cheering. I said, yeah, we going to the Super Bowl. Boy, he caught that thing. Last time I cried about a football game. Rombowski said, I was in college in 2000 when that Gladiator came out. I still remember watching it in theater. So many good movies came out. 98 through, hey, man, let me tell you something. Rombowski, movies died after 2000. There are no new ideas out there no more. Yes, sir. Rest in peace. Yes, sir. Man of Water, he said, I hate looking back. Boy, let me tell you. Man, it came across my timeline the other day. Man of Water. Man, I couldn't even watch it, man. I couldn't even watch it. That thing came across my timeline. I couldn't even push play on that thing, man. Boy, I couldn't even push play on that, boy. Couldn't even push play. Kevin Edwards, I remember that, boy. They used to hate when the Cowboys wore them blue jerseys, because they say every time the Cowboys wore them blue jerseys, they lost. Yeah, I remember that, but they hit on white jerseys that day. Yeah. Ron Hannah, yep. Had nightmares, boy, me too. Boy, I didn't want to talk to nobody for a week. It was Everson Walls, CGW. It was Everson Walls. And I don't even think Everson Walls thought that was going to be a catch. I don't even think Everson Walls thought that. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think Everson Walls is posterized on that. Yeah, I think he's posterized. All right, guys, I'm sorry we got off Christian Clark. We about to close out anyway. But boy, I'll never forget. Look at this. Cowboy fans, if you are too young to remember this, consider yourself blessed. Consider yourself blessed. Look at how high. Now, I want y'all to think about this. Dwight Clark is 6'4". They talking about white men can't jump. Man, kill that noise. Don't tell me white men can't jump. Ask Dwight Clark. Look at how high Dwight Clark is. Do y'all know Everson Walls is 6'1"? Everson Walls is 6'1". Dwight Clark, look at how high this ball is. This at least has to be the rim of a basketball goal. It has to this has to at least be about a 9 to 10 foot catch. Boy, this man came out of nowhere and caught that pass. It's like somebody blinked like I Dream of Jeannie and blinked him right there. Look at it. Fingertips. Golly, boy. Woo! It'll make you cry just thinking about it. Blue Star, consider yourself blessed, bro. This right here would have scarred you, bro. This would have scarred you right here. This would have scarred you. I'm telling you right now. Arthur said, hey, bro, posterized Everson Walls. Posterized. They'll stop talking about white men can't jump. Shoot. boy, that doggone Dwight Clark got at least be up there about 10, 11 feet up on that thing, man. Shoot, Arthur. Man, it's like a 10-footer. Man, shoot. Man, water. He said it's hard to look at. Shoot. Boy, people do not realize this man, Dwight Clark, was up there, boy. Shoot. Nick Burns, the best I'm talking about. I don't know where they got white men can't jump. Shoot. Man, hey, 70s Fan Show. Bro, that's a throwaway, bro. I'm telling you. Look at this. Man, this make me mad even looking at this, boy. Golly. Got me mad just looking at this, man. Dude came out of nowhere. Man, I'm telling you. And even when the Cowboys started driving to get in the field goal range, man, I still couldn't get my mind together on this. Richard said that hurt. He said, why you showing that? That hurt my heart. boy, y'all young people, boy, y'all don't understand. Consider y'all self-blessed. Old school said he got PTSD. Blue Star. Boy, you better consider yourself blessed, boy. You do not know how heartbreaking this catch was, man. To know that somebody is throwing the ball away and this dude gets up 10 feet. Golly, man. Woo. Boy, this hurt right here, man. Let me take this off the screen, man. Boy, let me take that off the screen. Boy. Ooh, boy. Let me tell y'all something. I wasn't right for weeks, man. Shoot, boy. I wasn't right for weeks. Anybody at school talked about this game? Man, I wasn't even a fighter, but they were getting smoke on this game. They were getting smoke on this game back then, boy. When I was 12, 13. Man, I'm 12. Nah, you getting smoke on this game, bro. We fighting, you talk about this game. You getting smoked. Rod Curry, he said, why you showing that picture? Hey, man, I'm telling you, man, people do not realize how tall Dwight Clark was. Dwight Clark out there is a wide receiver. Man, that dude was a tight end. Man, let me tell you something. Some of these players from the older era, they'd have been devastating in this era. Dwight Clark is one of them. Shoot, Dwight Clark is one of them. That dude there, bro. That dude, Dwight Clark, could play, man. He could play. Ty Howard, consider yourself blessed, bro. Big Rabowski said that he didn't leap straight either. He has that C shape to his back. It can throw the body and mind off when it comes to planting those feet and keeping them in bounds. Boy, hey, Rabowski, Clark could play, bro. I know you know it. Clark could play. Man of Water, he said the NFL world taught us for decades since, man. Shoot. Derrick Rose said that's at least 11 feet. Man, said the truth, Savelle said he been in therapy ever since. Oh, man, Java said Spike Lee is angry. That's why I was saying white men can't jump. Let me tell you something. Spike Lee didn't see this catch, did, because I'm telling you, Dwight Clark would have had everybody mad. That dog had me crying, boy. Sean McGugan, he said, I was 7 when that happened. Man, you cried at 7, bro? Boy. Man, I was feeling some type of way, boy. Sub-Zero said 2 plays that actually haunted me. The overthrow, mind you, we still almost won that game. The pass to Vince Ferragamo, never saw anyone catch. Boy. Woo! Nick Burson said he was 11 years old and crashed. Boy, I'm telling you. Freddie Morales said, "Oh, good, it's off the screen." He had to close his eyes. Boy, woo. Man, I'm telling you, boy, them were the days, man. Oh, them were the days, boy. Ace Wade said, "I would have fought everybody in school if I was alive during that time." Hey, let me tell you, Ace Wade. I was ready to fight, bro. I was ready to fight, man. I'm telling you now. Hey, Better Water, he said Spike Lee missed his view. Boy, shoot. I don't know what he talking about. I wish white men couldn't jump, because we done won that Super Bowl that year. That doggone Dwight Clark, boy, you want to talk about a dream stealer. Man, that dude stole dreams with that catch. Shannon Fan Show said the Cowboys had a tall tight end that made him gain weight and ruined him. I don't remember his name. Man, shoot. Boy, Dwight Clark. That boy was nasty, boy. Booby D, you was crying at 7. Boy, Blue Star. This San Francisco 49er thing go back decades, bro. Decades, man. This is why for us older Cowboy fans, boy, we still remember this. Boy, we want to beat the 49ers based on this game. We ain't even talking about modern times. We want the Cowboys to beat the 49ers based on this game. Yeah, man. Yeah, boy. Oh, man, David Everett. Boy, do I ever. Man, let me tell y'all something. There are some wide receivers. Lynn Swann. He's another one that hurt my heart. Lynn Swann from the Pittsburgh Steelers. This dude, you want to talk about who could go up in the air and get it? Lynn Swann was an acrobatic catcher. Catch the ball, falling down, going up in the sky. Man, Lynn Swann was Luke Skywalker, man. This man was Luke Skywalker. Absolutely, man. Yeah, man, I remember I was trying to pull up that picture. Man, the concentration level of Lynn Swann. Lynn Swann could have played in this era too. Lynn Swann was devastating. Shoot, Lynn Swann would hurt your defensive back's heart, bro. Lynn Swann was devastating. Absolutely devastating. Yep, I can remember. Lynn Swann was a monster, man. Yep, Billy Joe Dupree. He was a monster too. Shoot, Nick Burston, you ain't lying. Swann didn't drop nothing. Man, Swann could roll over 3 times, get up and still catch. Yes, sir. Blue Star said, no wonder they talk so much stuff. They beat us weather at our house and they still recall being at the playoffs game in Dallas. These clowns took over AT&T Stadium. He said, I was ticked. Man, Blue Star, we want to beat these people on principle. Settings Fan Show. George Pickens, Lynn Swann. That's a good comparison. Remember Michael Downs? Gerald Jackson said he met Michael Downs years later. He's still devastated. Gerald Jackson said his mama let him stay home from school the following Monday. Booby D, Starworth was a monster too. Starworth was a monster too, boy. Yes, sir. He was a monster, man. Yep, Willie Gault, monster. Man, let me tell you something. Procard K said he trying to make us cry, man. I remember these days, man. Man, let me tell us something, Cowboy fans. For us older Cowboy fans, man, this is personal, bro. This is personal, boy. We've had some heartbreaks. Boy, y'all think y'all have had some heartbreaks with these Cowboys? Man, us older Cowboy fans, boy, we've had some heartbreaks, bro. We have had some heartbreaks. Hold on a second. Somebody just mentioned another name here I wanted to mention from the Cowboys. Okay, I got Billy Joe Dupree. Somebody just mentioned another name. But, man, hey, the Cowboys have always had some great players. Ron Hanna, I hated the Steelers for years, bro. Years, bro. This is why Super Bowl for us older Cowboy fans is personal, man. Boy, we've suffered some crazy losses, man. Crazy losses. Tom Landry should have had more Super Bowls. And don't get me wrong, Tom Landry, the game passed him by in his late years. But Tom Landry, NFL-wise, Tom Landry has to be the best coach to ever existed. A lot of the things that we're watching today, Tom Landry invented it. Tom Landry was incredible in his day, man. Hail Marys, these defenses that we see, offenses we see. This dude was calling everything. Offense, defense, special teams, running the team, picking the players. Tom Landry has to be the best coach to ever coach the game. Now, if Tom Landry maybe gets in the game in his younger years, I think Tom Landry could have probably did it in this era. But where he was, Tom Landry wouldn't have liked this. I don't think Tom Landry would have liked this era. He'd have been like Nick Saban as it applies to this college era. He wouldn't have liked this era. But Tom Landry should have had more Super Bowls. The Steelers robbed us. But not only did the Steelers rob us, what's the guy who dropped the tight end that dropped the catch against the Pittsburgh Steelers? Dropped the pass against the Steelers. I bet you he still gets death threats. What was it? Jackie Smith. Man, Jackie Smith. Jackie Smith robbed the Cowboys of a Super Bowl. I mean, he dropped a touchdown right in the bread basket. We would have beat the Pittsburgh Steelers that second time around. It was one of the most incredible games you'll ever see. I be doggone Jackie Smith. Dropped it. I mean, dropped it. They said Jackie Smith was getting death threats after that game. I can believe it. Jackie Smith dropped a wide open touchdown. Golly. Boy. Oh, Sub-Zero brings up something. He said Randy White should have fell on the fumble rather than trying to pick it up and run and be the hero. Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I appreciate going down memory lane. Appreciate y'all always rocking with me. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm pretty sure the Cowboys, because in Cowboys style and Cowboys fashion and style, I'm sure tomorrow there'll be a press conference for the fact that Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and Brian Schottenheimer have brought in one Christian Parker. I got a feeling the Cowboys are going to welcome him with a press conference. And so we're going to be here for it tomorrow. So I appreciate y'all rocking with me today, man. Y'all are the best chat on YouTube. Until the next time, DC4L, God bless. Let's talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Peace.